Right. All right, well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 6:29. And here on, I've got Catherine Hausenflute that is signed up to speak. Can I ask a huge favor? Could you come up and... Oh, I'm sorry. 1 minute. I apologize, Catherine. I'm doing it all instead. Monica's keeping me straight over here. I appreciate it. Let's do the roll call. Everyone is present, minus Hugh Tidwell, which resigned. And so then Joe will stand with me and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, guide us tonight to make wise and smart decisions for our city and give us the strength to keep warm over the night through this cold winter. Thank you. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Monica. Moving on to public comments. Catherine Hausenflute, if I can get you to use the microphone and just announce your name, if you will.
I'm Catherine Hausenflute. I'm on the Planning and Zoning Committee, volunteering. We had our meeting last week, and I just left there not feeling right about it. I felt very uncomfortable. There was some things that were presented to us that weren't exactly accurate, and as I looked at the plat of what our city looks like and the plat that was proposed to us, it just didn't jive. I mean, the plat that was proposed to us looked like a trailer park, to tell you the truth. They were so close together. I've been in subdivisions where this has happened as a beginning subdivision for an area, and it turns out to be just a nightmare and basically a ghetto. I'll just put it that way. So I believe that, I mean, if I could go back and redo it, I would say, you know, let's table this and meet again after further consideration. But we voted on it. But I would like the council to know that as a citizen, I want this new subdivision, if it happens, to reflect more of what Granger looks like now. I mean, we've got nice lots, we've got trees. I know trees that aren't there right now, but they can grow. And the streets and that kind of thing, I don't think it needs to look like I said, a trailer park with, you know, very small lot sizes and houses that are very small that people aren't going to live in for a long period of time. And I would like to reconsider and maybe have it reflect more of our 60 or 80 foot lot sizes that we have right now in Granger. So that's it.
Thank you, Catherine. All right. And then Donnie Hustlid signed up. Would you like to speak, or? Okay. Thanks. Moving on to update for municipal business. Number 1, economic development, Main Street, and grant updates.
Good evening,
How are they doing?
We're moving right along with the historic City Hall project. I've got 3 bidders that have come in. I do not have any bids back from them yet because they are extremely detailed bids. So I've got 3 contractors working on the interior. I spoke with, we do have to have legal with Texas Municipal League says that for a city, if we have a public meeting someplace, we are required by law to have an ADA approved bathroom facility in the location. So that's what I've been getting contractor bids on. I'll also have to bring in our new representative from THC, Pam Opalaya, and have her walk through the entire thing with me because we're going to have elevation issues I've got to look at. I'm wondering if there might be a way to just take up that old carpet in there if there's hardwood underneath it. That might be how we eliminate some of our elevation issues regarding ADA. Still waiting for Brian to get there because this rain has given us fits on getting inside and looking at the assessment of the exterior of the building. Now, the current parameters for the Texas Preservation Trust Fund are that we were declined last time we submitted before the hurricane because we'd already received twice. There were 16 other cities that were declined, and in descending order by scores, we were number 3 on the list, so we did really good. But we have the right to submit a proposal for funding 3 times in a 5-year period. My thought is, with the funding you have right now, the next proposal is due in March. Why don't we just put together a full bid for the exterior of that building, and if you agree, we'll submit a proposal for funding, grant funding. Keep in mind, it's a 50-50 match, but you guys have to decide that. If you'd like, we can wait and do it next year. But again, you know, timing is everything in these matters. We have to think about who else is going to be in the pool with us, okay? Williamson County Recreational Facility Fund application, I've got that ready to go. Is Scott here tonight? Yes, Scott's here tonight. I've talked to Julia Cooper, and we just need to set a date. The way the process goes is I send in the application, they give us the thumbs up, we can be on the agenda in a week, okay? They meet every Tuesday. Feedback on the garage sale. We got a lot of positive feedback, so we went ahead and started planning it. I've posted it on every media outlet I could find for about 70 miles. I'll be posting on all of those media outlets' Facebook pages this week as we move closer to it. I'll come in Saturday early, put out the signs on 95, okay? And the weather looks like it's supposed to be good. Texas Main Street program, congratulations, you got accepted. Kind of amazing, first time application, and a town as small as Granger, you guys did it. And again, timing is everything. Congratulations. Questions?
On the signs, can we go ahead and put those out on Friday night instead of Saturday? Because a lot of the people that participate, they actually start Friday.
If you would like to, I'm more than happy to. Those signs are kind of expensive, and I'd hate for us to lose them. That's the biggest issue. Okay.
I have a question on the City Hall. You have that Cruise Electric is going to do the electrical?
I have a call in, 3 calls actually, to Cruise Electric. I've yet to get a call back, but I'm trying desperately to schedule a time with them so I can come and have them assess our electricity.
Okay. Do we have to have bids on that?
I would assume that we do want bids on that. I mean,
We typically do, it's,
I go by what your rules are for me.
typically we want to get the bids on it because
He'll be in town the 16th.
The 16th, Friday, I'll try and catch you.
He'll be hanging on, so he'll be.
Great.
Okay.
it's just so that we're being good stewards of the money.
I sometimes think that taking multiple bids does make your contractors a bit more competitive too, you know?
On the Main Street program, what's next? So we got
What's next? Deborah Drescher will be here to have a brief meeting with me on the 20th. And the first thing we'll do is start talking about setting up boards and committees. We will be officially accepted into the program in January, and I'll attend another workshop in Austin, free of charge, on the 16th of January.
Okay, on those signs, if you'll put those out Friday and give me the list of where they're at, I will pick them up like I did last year on Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else have any questions?
Catherine, I'd like to congratulate you on getting us in the program.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you
Yes,
for your
thank
hard
you.
work. Sure.
It was the numbers, you guys had the numbers, and I told you when the numbers are there, I can do it.
All right, moving on to city engineers report and updates.
The only thing I have is, hopefully the lift station designs will be ready, in a couple of weeks. We got slowed down with the rain, trying to finish surveying and all of that. The rain has kind of hit everybody. We're also hearing contractors, they're all backed up. So even if we bid right now, they're gonna give us some high numbers. So it's almost at this point now with the weather to wait till after the first of the year and try to get bids in. We can do it now, but again, I'm afraid with the rain, everybody's backed up. even if they get to us, they're gonna give us a high number, and the numbers aren't looking good that are coming in now. I've got a bid opening tomorrow. I'll know a lot more about it tomorrow, what the numbers are looking like, but the other projects that we've had, they're skyrocketing. So the delay has kind of helps us out a little bit. So we've got plenty of time to do this project. I know you would love to have this thing in yesterday, but so the plant is still operational. We can still move forward another couple of weeks. I don't think it's going to hurt us that bad. So I think waiting a couple of weeks is going to help us number-wise. So the only other thing I have is the 2018 grant. Sally said the contract should be out this month. So if you remember, that's replacing the wastewater line from the new lift station we put in at Fox Street, north along towards the school, just east of Colorado Street. So that'll replace all of that wastewater line. So be looking out for that. As soon as that comes in, Williamson County will issue their contract to the city. Once that's executed, the city can execute ours to get started, and we can knock that one out pretty quick too. So that's all I have.
Sir.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Scott. Moving on to MDD update. Anybody here for the MDD? No? All right. Moving on to planning and zoning updates.
I think that'll be later on.
Not a problem. Moving on to fire department updates.
There is one small update for the fire department. James Cervenka and I and Christy met last week to go over the specifications for the new brush truck. All of the bidders are on the buy board. We're still waiting for one bidder to complete their bid and submit it. Then we'll try to submit the bids to council in December for selection of an award on the bid.
All right. Yeah, okay. You want to read it? Okay. I'm just going to read the fire department report so y'all know how much these guys are actually working. They're doing a lot. This month, for the month of October, they did 18 medical assist, 4 automobile collisions, 1 outside fire call. They've had 1 outside fire mutual aid. That means helping another department like Bartlett or Taylor. 2 alarm calls. They've had 1 service call, and so the total of 27 calls for the month that they ran in the month of October for our 5 volunteers. Those guys are doing a great job for us. Moving on to utility department report for October 2018.
Okay, for the month of October, in the water department, there were 1 water main that was repaired. 1 water line that was repaired. It was a water main. Repaired 2 service lines. There were 7 disconnects with 6 reconnects. 5 door hangers replaced. 1 cutoff for customer repair. They repaired the chlorine leak at the water plant. The regular monthly meter readings were done. 51 rereads and the monthly flushings were done. In the sewer department, they repaired the chlorine delivery to the wastewater treatment plant, made cleaning for the rake for telescopic valves, wasted 4 beds, cleaned the contact chamber, cleaned out the wastewater shed, reset the lift station at number 1 because of a high alarm. All pumps were replaced, a motor started, aerator for racetrack, and other things that they did. Cleared 1 ditch for drainage, marked the plot for a headstone at the cemetery, replaced the belt on the Kubota mowing deck, repaired a saw cutoff, installed 4 shelves in the storage area, put rest of City Hall records away, put barriers out, locked and unlocked the Oak Street Bridge during the flooding, moved 2 file cabinets for City Hall, and also moved a desk, bookshelves, chairs, files, etc. Worked on Public Works' new office, mowed the cemetery and most properties in town, 4 overage reports. Also, the monthly DMR was completed and the quarterly DLQOR. And what those are is the DMR, that's the monthly wastewater report, and the DLQOR is the quarterly report for the water. And I do know this Friday that they will be putting up the Christmas lights in town. Thank you, Frank.
And your office over at the Public Works office is looking good. I know that was not easy.
It's not.
Y'all are doing a good job on that. Moving on to Police Department report for October 2018.
Nothing really to add to the report that y'all have in front of you other than Officer Powell is working. He has already made one fugitive arrest here in town based off of a traffic stop. I'm getting a lot of feedback from some of the citizens. They're glad he's out there and he's very active.
Okay, Chief, can either you read the report or someone else, because all of the time, people ask me all the time, what's in the report?
okay.
What's in the report? They have no idea.
Basically, the report has, we worked 560 regular hours. That's three active duty people working. We only racked up 4 hours of compensatory overtime. And then there were 55 hours worked by the reserve officers. We ran 87 calls for service. 4 reports were filed, 12 citations were issued, 7 warnings, and then some statistical information on the usage of our vehicles. Like I said before, Officer Powell started on October the 1st, completed his orientation and field training, and was cleared to work the evening shift on October the 10th. And I have continued to assist the city of Granger by filling in for the city administrator until Christy started, and I've helped her since then. And that's about it. That's the high points.
Thank you.
Moving on to City Administrator report for October 2018.
So, I'm trying to get my bearings since I started on October 17th. Thank you for bringing me on board.
Thank you for coming.
Chief Sheldon and Frank have both given me unofficial tours of the city to show me around and see show me what's going on in the building over at the Public Works area where the water is. Like you said, it's looking really good. Their office over there. The banking signatures, that transition has been completed now since I got those final signatures this evening. We located a new inspection service. Hopefully you'll approve that since our previous contractor resigned. The prices are included in your packet. Thank you to Frank and Janine for their help in locating ordinances and paperwork. Thank you very much. And the Banyan to Assist transition is underway. We got quotes from Assist on that transition, and it was $9,000 for just the utilities. That's not court, that's not payroll, nothing else, not accounts payable. It was just utilities. It was going to be $9,000. So Janine and I decided that we were going to do those things manually, and she's been working really hard at that. Like the chief said, we discussed with the fire chief the new fire truck that's going to be purchased, and that'll come back up next month. And we'll be getting a permanent record book for written minutes, and that'll be housed at City Hall in my office for public viewing at any point once we get those.
If you would explain a little bit, because Granger hasn't really had one of those.
Okay.
Just to kind of explain why we got one of those.
Prior to my coming on board, we had audio-visual recordings for meetings, and that's okay. But no, in the last couple of years, there haven't been any written minutes, which are generally action item minutes, and that's the recording of the action of the council and the things that go on in the council meetings. When you don't have those things, you don't know who did what, when it was done. There aren't records, good records of what happened in the past. This process of the minute book and the agenda with the minutes recorded in a hardbound book is history. It's the history of your city. It's the history of your decisions. and what the decision makers of the governing body has done. And we've lost a lot of that. I'm not pointing fingers, I just want to make it right going forward. And this minute book will do that.
Thank you.
Could we, you want to mention the West Nile Avenue found?
We did, the Williamson County Health Department notified us twice of West Nile virus being detected here in Granger. One was next to the school, and the other was right behind City Hall for the police department. They set out a trap last Monday and found them right there at the back of the building.
Have they responded with like any kind of
They brought larvicide tablets, and Frank has distributed those around
It's the
town.
same thing Walt had already.
It's the same kind, yeah, same kind of thing. We also talked to them about spraying. I've sent a couple of emails, but I haven't gotten any response back yet.
But also a large portion of it is on private property. The city can't really go out and put the tablets on private property.
That's true.
So if the public, if y'all have any standing water, if y'all could help us with emptying that standing water, that would help a lot. And it might be. So we've done a lot, I know Frank did, but if the community can just help out, that way, any standing water doesn't help us, we can get rid of it. Hopefully a freeze will help, but, precautions, so.
Yeah, precautions such as bug repellent, mosquito repellent, citronella, that was highly recommended by the Williamson County Health Department. Anything else?
Thank you so much, Kristen. Moving on to action items. Number 1, discuss, consider, and possible action on meeting minutes for the regular city council meeting from October 8th, 2018.
There needs to be a correction on number 6 item. It says council voted as follows. It says Grobel nay, Schweitzer nay. We neither one voted.
Okay, so y'all were
We weren't asked if for a
no vote,
for or
okay.
after. I mean, a for or against.
Okay. Somebody would like to make a motion with that adjustment?
Okay, action item number 6.1, I move that we approve the minutes from the October 8th meeting.
Approved with corrections?
I'm sorry, that we approve the minutes with the corrections.
Second.
All right, Lynn seconded, Monica made the first motion. All right, all in favor? All right, unanimous. All opposed by the same, seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to action item number 2, discuss and consider possible action to ratify the appointment of Deborah Carter Todd to City Council, replacing the resigning Hugh Tidwell and fulfilling his unexpired term. All right. We just need any discussion?
Any discussion?
All right. Anybody like to make a motion?
I move on action item number 6.2 that we ratify the appointment of Deborah Todd Carter in replacing Hugh Tidwell and fulfilling his unexpired term.
Second.
Monica made the motion and Lynn made the second. All in favor? All right. 3, 4, and then all opposed. All right, and 2 against. Oh, yeah, sorry, 2, 4.
2 for and 2
I broke the
against.
tie, and then 2 against. Did you get all that?
Got it.
Wonderful. All right, moving on to number 4, right? Oops, sorry, I missed it. Number 3, oath of office for Deborah Carter Todd as city council member, replacing Hugh Tidwell. All right. Do we make a motion for that, or?
No, you just
I'll swear in.
Swear in.
Do you have the original, is that with you?
I have it.
Ready or not, Debbie?
Chance to run this over.
Yeah, that'll work.
No, in the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, if you'll repeat with me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
In the name and by the authority of the
State of Texas, I, Deborah Carter Todd, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Council Member, Alderman of City of Granger, of the state of Texas, and will do the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of this state. So help me God. Thank you.
And the second one, we don't Okay.
Do I move forward now?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Mark C. No pressure.
I'll go into a second.
You'll make up the deficiencies. It's because of the last time thing. Well, first of all,
Thank you.
sure.
All right, action items, moving on to number 4. Discuss, consider, and possible action regarding accepting the report from the Planning and Zoning Commission and approval, amendment and/or acceptance of the 26.313 acres preliminary plat as presented for the Grove at Granger subdivision situated in the Conception Bordatello Survey, abstract number 72, Williamson County, Texas, as submitted by Marcy King. No, I think we're good. Actually, let's let Mark Harwell come up for us since this is his report. Okay.
Unless it's good.
Hello, how are you? P&Z met last Tuesday and went over some of the issues that we had about the lot sizes. And at the time, we agreed upon, we finally came to agreement on 47.5 as the average for the lot sizes. Some of your members were there, that was good. Of course, they couldn't speak. And of course, I think the other things were not necessarily discussed because they were not necessarily on there. And that's really about it. We present for you 47.5 was the sizes we were looking for. I think they were looking for 40 to 45, and we were looking for 50 to 55, so it was a compromise in the middle.
Any questions? All right. I appreciate it, Mark.
Yeah, and I thought it was in your report. My apologies.
No, that's all right.
You should have this.
And I did notice on that, and I know this was from November 6th of 18, it had Glen Rose City on there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I borrowed the form.
All right, Marcy, you ready?
All
glad. I really appreciate y'all hearing from me, and I appreciated the P&Z meeting. It was great to finally get in front of them and get some input from everyone. I've got a round of reports first, if you don't mind. Can I approach and ask them?
Yes.
We've got obstacles there for you.
So I was challenged on some of the census numbers, which I appreciate. So I did spend all weekend going through and looking up from several different sources on the Granger numbers. And some of those had increased, and the median housing value had increased, which specifically was a question somebody had. So I think that's great. I also, this market study, something that I did, well, this month is a year since we closed on the property. We began speaking with the city, thinking about September. So it's been a full year. So I had done a market study on all of the similar cities and the types of products that are moving. I spoke with the HBA and many of the builders in these developments, and this is what the market is requesting. And then I went ahead on this cover page just to include the demographics on the cities that I pulled from, because most of the cities that I pulled from are quite a bit bigger than y'all, but Liberty Hill is a really good example. So one of the things, I'm going to start with the one that it is our goal for, if you could just scroll down, thank you. Scrolling down. There's a development in Santa Rita that has 40-foot lots and 45-foot lots. If you keep scrolling, does it go down? I'm sorry. Some of these homes, I specifically spoke to the builder in Santa Rita. They're selling 10 a month in this area on 40-foot lots. So this morning in the rain, I went by and took some pictures of what that neighborhood looks like. These are just the floor plans of the high price and the low price in your packet. And then if you'll scroll down, hopefully. So in your packet, I think it's in your packet, page 3, these are pictures of the neighborhood, of the right in the zone of the home builders that we're talking to. These are all 40-foot lots, and the neighborhood is blown and going, and they look really beautiful. They've got a lot of detail you can see. Each one is slightly different, and they range in sizes. I think the smallest one is 1,400 square feet, and it goes up to 2,400 square feet, and that's on a 40-foot lot. And then the rest of the pages in here are examples that some of you have already seen, but I double-checked the numbers on them for you so that you could see the neighborhoods in Taylor and Hutto, Manor, etc. So you can gander at that in your spare time, I'm sure, but I wanted you to know that I had looked at other cities. Were there any questions I could answer?
So what is the width of these houses? So on a 40-foot lot?
Yeah, some of them, there were dimensions on it, but the first example It's 33 feet wide. Just based upon the image, there's $212,000 the Beckett.
The Beckett House?
Yes. It's the one in Santa Rita, Liberty Field.
Okay.
So that's 33 feet wide. On the next page is Santa Rita, Liberty Field, that's 35 feet wide. That's the main field. And then there aren't any dimensions on the ones in this page.
I'm sorry, I didn't check the setbacks. I'm assuming they're probably pretty standard.
The next one on Gerald, it's on Terra. That one's 28 feet wide. And the next one is also 28 feet wide. And then there are no dimensions.
And let me just add that the homes in Gerald are not necessarily the aesthetic that we're going for. We much prefer the homes on the first page in Sarita. It has a little more hill country design. We have not yet selected a home builder because we have to go through this phase first. I personally don't like the ones in Gerald, just the look, but everyone is different. But we're hoping to incorporate some of the cottage style with some rock accents and brick accents that you can see in the Sarita homes.
On a 40 or 45 foot lot, standard depth, 100 feet, 110, what is that? Is there a standard go-to?
Standard is around 100 to 110. That's what I've seen when I spoke with the engineer who works all in this whole area. We've got, as I get into my next packet of information, I'll show you the depths of our lots that we've got. Are there any questions?
Anybody have any questions right now?
For this round,
Okay.
personally.
I will say some of the lots around the cul-de-sac, I noticed they do get a little shorter. So they're typically 110 feet deep. And then at the cul-de-sac, for that bubble, some of those get to about 95 feet.
Does it also flare out a bit in the cul-de-sac? Still pretty linear? Okay. Thank you.
May I approach to hand out the next package?
No workers' comp.
So the first two pages you guys have seen. We approached in February. We ended up with 3 different land plans that we had submitted. We had conversations from the dais and direction of what y'all would like to see. And we went back and incorporated all of that. One of the discussions that we had right from the get-go is, do we want 2 entrances or 1? And that question came up at P&Z, which is the first time since February that question has come in, because we moved forward with what council's recommendation, not a vote, but a recommendation was, which was to align with Oak Street. And so that is the land plan we talked about in April.
If you don't mind, Marcy, I'm going to talk about this just a hair.
And I have one additional handout to go.
Oh, that's fine. So if y'all see, we have two council members now. So originally, all of us were on, but the reason we went with 1 is, if y'all will see on this grid, basically if you're coming off Oak Street and you're coming off East Plum, you're going to have a little Frogger situation here with the streets. They don't really align. So if you're turning into the subdivision, that was the reason. However, since then, at this point, we made we didn't have our fire, inspector look at the plans. And so we talked to him, and I'm gonna let Christie talk about that, because she's gonna be more accurate than me.
Yeah, the fire marshal, Bobby came by and, we met briefly about these plans with the one entrance and the one exit, and, his head kind of exploded a little bit and said, can't do that, it's not safe. So I sent a copy of the layout that we had with him, and, I thought he was gonna be here tonight, but didn't make it, I guess. And, but he really wanted to see two entrances, two egress, I guess, for safety's sake. And I know that you had said previously that there was an extra turn lane, right turn lane?
Yes, ma'am. We added an extra exit lane, so coming into the neighborhood, you've got one in and two lanes coming out for that purpose. And since it's a loop around, I'm sorry, I'll let you go.
No, it's fine. And the fire marshal's concern was that if something were to happen right at the entrance, then that's gonna block everything to everyone else. And if someone else in the subdivision has an emergency, then that would hinder them getting assistance.
Any recommendations?
How wide is the entrance going to be? You know how,
We do know.
Normal traffic lanes, that would be 48.
Yeah, the 63-foot right of way, normal lanes are about 12 feet, 12 feet, so 33, 36 foot wide.
and the streets are how wide?
33, 36, that's for 3 lanes.
Okay, but I mean, the normal streets, how wide are they?
On the inside,
Yeah, on the inside.
normally they're about 25 foot back and forth, so you have about 24 foot driving width, but there's 2 12-foot lanes.
So once I attended, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Jumping
fine.
in. Okay, once I attended the P&Z, I spoke with the engineers. We ran some kind of rough scenarios, and that's that additional handout that I just handed out. The concern with adding 2 exits out of this neighborhood on Alligator Road means that you're within 70 feet of the road to the north and the road to the south. And whereas that might not be an issue right now, I don't know what the speed limit is on Alligator Road. 30. So TxDOT typically wants to see something like 200 feet at 30 miles an hour. I think that's TxDOT rules.
No, their rules won't apply anywhere other than on the state highway.
Okay. I understand, yes.
I see where you're coming from.
So Alligator Road is going to widen, right? We're all hopeful of that because we're donating the entire right-of-way from our side. And so just in looking to the future, how can we make sure that we're not cutting in too close to the already established streets? And one of the suggestions brought up by Mr. Murray, your engineer, was to stub out to like the southern parcel for future development, which is done all the time in the other cities that I work in. For future development, you stub out and then everyone's connected. Obviously, whatever the fire marshal says is what goes.
Could you elaborate on the stub out a little bit?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So,
Sorry.
that's all right. I don't know exactly where it would go, and that plat is sideways, I'm sorry. So if you're looking at this plat submission, it would be further down in the neighborhood, either at this last road, and it would stub out to the south. We'd lose 1 or 2 lots, and the road would just go literally right to the edge of the property line, waiting for the next development to come.
Okay.
So in moving forward with what we understood, what I understood the council, was wanting. I went through on our variance application letter and just kind of highlighted some of the things we had talked about. If you don't mind, I'd like to go through it real quick. The biggest part is when we were out there doing the surveying, we noticed that on the west side of Alligator Road, there are several structures that are currently built in the right-of-way. Obviously, we want to be good neighbors. We don't want to cause anyone to have to move a structure. They probably had no idea it was there. And so we voluntarily decided to donate the entire road right-of-way onto our side. So that was one of the things that we did. We aligned with Oak Street and the extra right-hand turn lane. We will construct a privacy fence around the entire perimeter, but of course around every backyard. We have identified 3 possible locations for a mailbox kiosk. It's really up to the postmaster if she wants one kiosk or several. Our idea was if we could break them up into 2 or 3, maybe down in the cul-de-sac, it wouldn't get in people's way. You requested streetlights be LED, and we agreed to that. The community entrance and signage will include masonry and landscaping. And because we're providing the setback, the entire setback, that will be landscaping across the entire frontage, which is almost 500 feet, I believe. So there'll be, grass and some trees, but then a nice monument lighted entrance going into the development.
Who maintains that landscaping?
That is typically maintained by the HOA.
Have y'all
Not the
decided to
city.
move forward with an HOA?
That will depend on the home builder,
Okay.
and that will depend on what we end up being able to present to the home builders.
Gotcha.
Most home builders want HOAs. We want an HOA. We mentioned that we have the ability to install the gas lines. We're going to allow the 1 gigabyte fiber to run through the neighborhood. One of the requests from council was to include sidewalks. And so the way we have this designed is from the curb to the sidewalk is a 5-foot setback, which will be landscaped with grass. Then there's a 5-foot sidewalk, and all of that will be installed on both sides of the road throughout the entire neighborhood. We offered to donate the 8 acres to the parkland or work out something else, whatever y'all would like. We don't know if your future parkland is going to connect to a trail, so we just left that open and said we were willing to donate it to the city or work with the city. The council had requested at least 1 tree every other lot, and we went back and discussed it, and we decided to go ahead and commit to 1 tree per lot minimum. So that's already in there. And then the city utility conversations of how we get utilities. So from what I understand, the only variance that we are requesting is a variance for the lot size. So, and I'll get back to the lot size in just a minute. The next page here shows some rural parkland, some options that we might be able to do in that floodplain. Something that is either resin or concrete that if and when it ever does flood, that it won't go anywhere and it won't degrade. So sustainable, natural looking area is what we're going for. The next page are some examples of the type of entrances that we're talking about and the street signs, as well as the speed limit postings. So our plans in working with whichever home builder we decide to go with will be to incorporate this standard of quality. And then the last page is the mailbox kiosk examples of what those might look. Of course, the smaller ones are a little cuter, the little black ones.
You had mentioned at the P&Z meeting that you hadn't spoken to the Atmos Gas Company yet. Did you get in contact with them?
No, ma'am, because again, it depends on whether or not the home builder wants to put in gas, so those conversations will all happen, we would assume.
Yeah, I would like to say right now, the council is reviewing the plat. The next step to this, if you approve this, is they are to provide construction drawings, that's actual cross sections of the street, the utility locations, meter locations, all of that. So you still have an opportunity after this to still review the construction side of this project. So don't think you approve this and it goes away. You still have the authority to come back on the construction side and approve that as well. So this one is just
So, I'm sorry, back to the preliminary plat that we submitted to the city. We went back to the engineers, tweaked a few things. I was incorrect in some of my numbers, because every lot size is different. It depends on whether it's a corner or the topography of where it's located. In the CAD document, they have all the details. The average lot size is 45.94 feet. So we're about 1.5 feet off of what planning and zoning had recommended.
45.9?
94, yes. It's over there on the left-hand side of, on your document. There's only one lot in the entire development that's 40 feet, and it's right there at the entrance. So obviously, if we have to double the entrance, we'll lose that lot. But there is only one lot. All the other lots throughout the development range from 41 feet to 56.42 feet, and the depths range from 110 to 147 feet. So they're a lot bigger than even I thought that they were when we were in discussions. I'm sorry, it's right down here in small print. I also defined the streets. 50 foot wide is what the right-of-way donation is for. That includes the setback to the house, the curb, the right-of-way with the landscaping and the sidewalk. The landscaping, of course, we're going to put in grass along that right-of-way, and the 1 tree per home, and the monument entry, which is very important to us because we're going to have to launch a marketing campaign to get people out here, and obviously the front door is very important for marketing, so we have vested interest to make sure that that's nice. And then the landscape along the entire frontage of Alligator Road.
Martha, did you say 41 to 57 average? 56.
Thank you for that, but it's 56.42.
56, that's what I was asking, 56.42.
I'll get you a copy. I
Okay,
apologize. And then the depth, 110 feet to 147 feet.
Pardon my ignorance, so the numbers on here that say 45 and 40, those are not correct?
Maybe our city engineer could explain better, but when they do these DWG files and they print up their kind of averages, but they have it broken down in that file, each and every lot size. I just can't open that file because I don't have a CAD system.
Yeah, on the plat, they actually have the true dimension, like it changes with the bubble of the cul-de-sac, so it's not a true 110, it actually shrinks down because of that bubble. So they actually have the true dimensions on that actual plat line. And then again, it does vary, some 42, some 41, some 56, some 45. It just varies all across the plat side.
I'm sorry. I meant to print up larger.
Yeah, the ones that are all in a line, those are all the exact same, those are on the north and south side, those are all 45 foot, and then get some in that cul-de-sac, and then you start changing that.
I got you.
Same thing in the middle, all of those along the middle are all 41. But the corner lots, look like they're about 56 and a half, something like that.
I've got you. And then that one, we have one corner lot that's 147.52. And then go down a little bit and it looks like they're 110 on the sides.
That's correct.
And then the ones north are at 116.
Yeah, so a lot of the cities that I work with, I was talking to the city managers, normally I don't get on this side of a subdivision, I'm just on construction, and that's pretty much my part of it. Just to find out what the other cities do, I talked to them, and for example, the city manager of Gerald likes to work off averages. So he said, they have a subdivision that just came in that does have 40 or 45 foot lots, but the average, he said, needs to be different. And so he was saying, you better have some 55 and 60 foot lots to offset those smaller. The other thing he said, he doesn't like looking down the road and seeing every house the exact same. He said what they'll do is, right now, our ordinance requires a 25 foot setback. He said one lot, you may do 20, the next one, 30, the next one, 25, just so it gets them a little depth, so it doesn't look like a prison.
Which,
Again, just throwing those ideas out there, that's what other cities do, it's open.
the pictures at Santa Rita, those first few pages in, you can see how they stagger the setbacks, and it really does make a huge difference. And, you know, so we started this project by looking at, can it be done? Are people willing to come here and purchase? And then you have to reverse engineer based on the cost of the retail price that we believe we can get out here. We don't know. Our range ended up being around 168 on the low side, all the way up to 248. That's our window, to make sure that people can afford them to come out here. So some of the prices you'll see in the Santa Rita and Liberty Hill, those are a little higher for less square feet because of course they're in closer. So location is everything. So we wanted to provide, again, the highest quality, but also we still have to make it affordable. So that was how we kind of got to these numbers, and that's how every developer gets to it, is you start with the retail number and you work back. Some of the, a few other things I'd like to point out is this being a new subdivision and having the roads, we had to have a MLA special testing, soil testing that came in core drilled after the crop was harvested. And to build roads here is about twice as much on the west side because of the soil. And we're required to meet building construction standards. These roads are going to be the smoothest, nicest looking roads you've got. And I don't know if the inspections are like, I thought it was 20 years. I don't know. Wear and tear on the roads.
I actually have a question relating to this, and I need to ask Scott. Our commercial routes on that side of town are Oak Street and Alligator, correct? Alligator Road is Old County Road 355. Have we taken a look at materially, are we going to be able to handle heavy-duty construction vehicles on that road? Because there's places on it that are pretty...
Yeah, one thing I would do, and again, this will be during the construction side, that any damage that's done by the contractor during this construction, they're going to be required to fix. So most of my projects, when I handle these and I issue a contract, we get their bonding, their insurance, all that paperwork. So if there's any damage, if they don't take care of it, we have their bond and insurance, and we'll take care of it that way. So Any damage that's done.
My other concern is obviously we need to get some signage up that those two roads are commercial routes. We also need to get some speed limit sign posted on Alligator. And we also have a parking issue posed by one family over there that may hamper construction efforts. And I think that we're going to have to address that at another council meeting as an action agenda item. So
I believe it.
I'll bring that forward to council. You don't need to worry about that.
I believe a lot of those concerns are in the
Yeah.
contract.
I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You've been out there.
Yes.
You know.
And
Good news with this, I'll say too, is that they have geotech design the road for them. That engineer, his seal or bond covers those roads.
Right.
If the city has any issues with it, go back to that geotech engineer. And his insurance either has to fix it or he has to figure the contractor to do it right. And they have, either way, the city covered if there's any, if it fails before the city. Now, it doesn't alleviate the city from anything. For example, you're still gonna get the cracks across the road, we're gonna get flushing, but you still need to go and seal those cracks.
My concern is during the construction phase, we're going to be adding an element out there on Alligator Road and Oak Street that's going to be coexistent with school buses, school children, and parents taking kids to school. That being said, state law allows a chief of police to declare certain emergency traffic conditions, but I don't think that's appropriate in this situation. We have enough time, and it's not like y'all are going to be breaking ground next week, is what I'm saying. We have time to address these other side issues properly, publicly, and fully here in council. And I would just rather approach that at another council meeting, but these are issues that we're going to have to resolve. The speed limit signs and commercial route signs, those are already established by our ordinances, and Frank and I can go out and identify where we need to put those signs up, and we'll get them ordered and get them up. Parking issues, that's a separate thing, and we'll approach that later.
And to follow up with that, as part of the construction, the contractor has to provide an engineer traffic control for the construction. So they have to provide all the construction signs, all of the hazard signs.
Right.
That's part of their job. So, again, they'll be submitted with the construction.
I did want to mention from day one in working with y'all, which has really actually been fun, and I've seen a lot of turnover in council and in staff, and we've been plugging ahead, all of us trying to work in good faith to get this done, and I appreciate everyone's hard work throughout all of the staff variations. So the last thing I'd like to say is doing some rough numbers. At 110 lots, averaging 200,000 a lot, a finished product, we're looking at 22 million in new property value being added to your tax roll. I didn't run the numbers for the taxes that would go to the ISD, but I did run the numbers for the property tax on that 22 million that comes directly to Granger, and that's $430,000 a year at build out, which we're anticipating and would hope 2, maybe 3 years for complete build out. I don't know what percentage that is of your current income on property values. I didn't have a chance to look at that.
That's going to be about, if I remember correctly, from tax time when I put together the taxing documents. That's going to push us up roughly by another third of what we currently take in.
In the entire city.
Yeah. 6.5 property tax.
This is variance, application for variance.
About 140,000.
That's for the size of lots.
Approve the site plan,
Yeah,
40,
right.
45 foot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was the only variance that we needed
We're
to.
running about 465.
I was not on council at that time, so.
Maybe Chris, you can correct me or Scott, I believe our current ordinance is 60-foot lots?
85.
85?
That's what makes me real nervous.
85 is the current ordinance. We guys stated that last month.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Frank.
In regards to that, I went through the city of Granger, and there are obviously currently lots that are 30 feet, and then lots that go up to 100 feet in the current, in the city of Granger. They vary, obviously, because some people will buy 2 or 3 lots and build on it. And then there are some very, very narrow lots, which is normal in any city as they start to expand. The beauty of, I will say from my personal experience of years doing this, it's very seldom that we come to council with only one variance request. And we went over and beyond on several items, donating the extra. We lost 2 or 3 lots by donating the extra right-of-way, but, you know, the sidewalks, the extra trees, all of the things that we went over and beyond to ensure that this is a quality neighborhood. This is going to be very nice.
And other than being able to stack as many houses as possible in there, what's the disadvantage to 50, 55 foot lots?
Right now, the market in the outer lying areas, the home builders are going for 40s and 45s because of the price point. Because land, and out here land not so much, but the construction costs are through the roof.
My opinion, it's just not.
I'm sorry?
It's literally like, I moved out of home serious.
Sure.
I come here and
And listen, I get that because I've been on your side arguing that from the other side of the dais. In my opinion, cities need a variety of product. This being the first one, testing the market, we have to look at the price point, and then from there, you guys can go with whatever you want. Since this is a variance, you're not setting any precedent for anyone, because every platted submission is unique and individual, based on what they're gonna bring to your city, and the risk that they're taking, so.
If we don't agree with the 40 and 45 foot variance, because I wasn't on council at the time, so I'm curious to know what happens.
I've been instructed, because we're a year into this, and we are pushing $80,000 in expenses already. All of our numbers are based on that, which were discussed since
No
February.
flexibility there whatsoever. This is what you're presenting us.
Well, we're bigger than what I thought, which is the average size, almost 46 feet. The problem is, you get a 50-foot lot, the size of the house and the retail price of the house has to be a percentage of the cost to develop that lot, which would put the cost of the home way over what any home builder is willing to risk. Out here being the first one. I was asked questions, what amenities does the city have? What kind, is there an H-E-B here? What kind of jobs are here? Of course, I sang praises for the school because the school's amazing, and the police and fire are amazing. But it's a burgeoning town, and we're hopeful that this will bring in, people who are here who want to go downtown and eat, and that's what gets the attention of the H-E-Bs and the Randalls. You may not want them, so you can have a boutique. A boutique Whole Foods.
I have a question here on these corner lots on
Yes,
the
ma'am.
inside. That was in 31.42.
The corner lot.
dig into it a little bit.
That's not a good, that's they are defining what the property line is, certainly that's the area.
Right, but then does the property end up being 31.2?
That property was on the corner, 56.4.
Okay, I was seeing some other numbers, I was trying to figure out what that was. Okay.
No, but those are, you're looking at the area of that lot line, you have various listings of that lot.
Okay.
Not the property.
In my mind, I'm thinking, you know, a corner lot has got to be bigger, but I was seeing that smaller number and it just was not working. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of brought this up earlier with March, and I want to bring this out there. I was looking, there's like we're trying to avoid any lot lines being in the floodplain. You could put a lot in a floodplain, you just cannot build within the floodplain. So what that means is, for example, that north lot on top of that cul-de-sac, that could be moved down, it looks like about 20 feet. So if you move that lot line down 20 feet and then distribute that 20 feet among all the other lots, that may get that average up. And you can do the same thing with the lot on the south side, and move that one could probably go over about 30 or 40 feet. You divide that out among all those lots on the side. And the same thing, that center section, those lots can slide down toward the flood line and make those wide. So your average can go up.
When you say move that, are you talking about moving that lot line, that would be towards the east?
That's correct.
Okay, moving that towards the east, then move it right here. Okay, so they're actually trying to avoid any problems of putting the lot line in the floodplain, is that correct?
And we've done lots in the floodplain, you just have to have an area outside of the floodplain to build.
Right,
So as long as you're not building in the floodplain, you're fine. You can have a lot line built into the floodplain. That's
And it's kind of been our desire to make those lots closer to the green space, you know, as big as possible. So that suggestion is great. And that doesn't require a full re-engineering of the project.
How many houses is it per acre then, roughly?
pretty much you can get one on a quarter acre lot. So you can get about 4 homes. Now it's a little less than that because you gotta have right-of-way, easement, drainage easement, utilities. It's pretty close to it, like 3.7.
Because, you know, in our ordinances, it says the 85 width, but then it says 5 houses per acres. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, you can't get that.
They'd be very short. They wouldn't be very deep.
Zero lots. That's why they're going up here.
Hey, Marcy, on the average, how many 2-story houses do y'all plan on building?
Again, that's going to be market driven, so we will have 1 or 2 typical model homes, and then the buyers will come in and choose the lot and choose the floor plan and decide how big of a floor plan they want.
Because I know when y'all came in and introduced this, y'all said that y'all wanted to stay in uniform with currently the way Granger looks.
Yes.
Well, I went through town and I could only come up with 8 total 2-story houses in the entire town. And pretty much everything here is almost all 2-story, everything in their plans.
So again, we're looking primarily, I don't know what the percentages are, but I would say probably 90% of the buyers are going to be new to Granger. So we're appealing to, you know, the families who want to bring their kids to a small town and go to a small town school. And so that's the variety.
And the lot sizes ranging from 40 to 45, where did that come from?
In conversations with previous administrators and us starting to talk about what the market would bear, and we did I did go back and look, and I can't remember who asked me the question about 50s.
It was Trevor, he asked the question.
Okay.
He stated that he would like, our ordinance states 85. He stated he'd like to see 50 or 55s. And somewhere between there, but this is just not Granger here. It's really not.
So I guess the question goes back to, if you make a bigger lot by 5 feet, the cost is going to go up to the end user significantly. That's why I was hoping that the pictures of Cerrito would give you an idea of the quality, because that difference is really negligible to the eye, but the cost to the home buyer is significantly higher. There are 50-foot lots all over the place that are in, closer to main cities, that, closer to I-35, Ronald Reagan, 183. So every plan that we brought in were in the smaller range, the 40s and 45s. And then the plat submission that we submitted a month ago had these denoted at 40 and 45, plus the detailed CAD drawing of the exact sizes. And we didn't hear back from the city on this. This has been a long trek of trying to implement, coming here new and being the first one, and then trying to work with the city so that both sides can win. But the majority of these homes will most likely go to new members to your community. We're hoping to pull from Taylor, Georgetown, some of these neighboring areas, where a family wants to be able to get into, a brand new house with high quality, updated kitchens, and have a yard and be close to the school. That's what we've been betting on. And honestly, working very hard to try to accomplish that. So at an average right now of 49.94 feet, and the depth of our lots go all the way to 147, which far exceeds most neighborhoods. And then if we incorporated some of Mr. Murr's suggestions of making those back lots a little bigger, I think we're well over the 47.5, because we're only 1.5 feet from the planning and zoning recommendation.
How hard would it be to work that around?
It's going to be,
The lots and such.
I spoke with the engineer today, and it's going to take, a month, but we're going into the holidays, so that's going to get pushed to first quarter. And we were, right now on this plan, we have construction documents, like very quickly ready to pull the trigger. And we print up all of those, send them out for bid, and start shopping. It was our goal to break ground in the first quarter of next year, and not knowing how much it's going to cost and to move some of these lines around, like I said, it'll push this process into the first quarter of next year, which would then push everything back.
Take our time to do it right. From my perspective, because I gotta live here.
Of course, I understand, and honestly, from my perspective, well, now that I'm an empty nester, I would probably buy one of these, but I feel like a city in general, speaking from the other side now just for a second, you need a variety. You need a variety as you move along. You've got to have the small lots, you've got to have the big lots. And so that's why we're bumping up against trying to make it the highest quality that we can and still bring in buyers for the entry-level price close to double what the average is in Granger right now. So at 200,000, which is the median price of these homes, we are double, we're more than double what the average price is here in Granger right now. So it's high quality, and that's why I wanted to take pictures from the street so you could see.
So these homes here are in, they're in Gerald.
No, the first one, those right there are in
Liberty Hill.
yeah, those are,
Liberty Hill.
yeah, those are all in Liberty Hill. And they're offset, which makes it pretty nice. I thought I was getting tailed by the sheriff out there because I was driving a little slow taking pictures.
They're pretty strong right now. They've had Pakistan and car burgers, and they're bugging every neighborhood to death.
That's interesting. Yeah, the police report that I heard from Williamson County on our side is our biggest crime is happening right now in large stores. So the H-E-B, the Walmart, the Kohl's, the Goodwill. So, you know.
Can I say something?
Oh, yes, go ahead, Linda.
You know, if you drive around the country and you see young people and other people moving out here, and they buy big lots. They've got land around them, and they build a big one-story house. To me, and these are people that are coming back to Granger that grew up here, went off, and now they're coming back, and they want their kids to go to school here. I want to see bigger lots. I think that's what is going to draw our people back. I mean, I'd like to see people that used to live here come back and buy homes, you know?
To go off of what you're saying, I can say, because you know I roam all over several counties. I do run into people that they tell me all the time they were raised in Granger and they can't find housing here and they want to come home. But there is no subdivision. But I see what you're saying. I do believe there are a lot of Granger people that want to come home.
Because, I mean, if you go west of town, all the way to Wahlberg, but they're all on big, they can put a horse on their land if they want to, you know?
Y'all currently have some 10-acre tracts that are going, you know, for sale and people are building on them, but they're building $500,000 homes on them. I've been told we can't go larger, but for example, if you go larger, the price point still doesn't change. So then you have to look at the quality of the building. It's locked in at the marketability of the city. So our notion was being first out here and doing a lot of advertising to draw attention to Granger, bring in something that's affordable, that will help bring in tax base for both the city and for LISD. And it's just the entry. It's just the entry point.
Precedent long term.
The only, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, not necessarily on the precedent, because everything can change. Just like Marcy was saying, we're seeing a lot of the first-time home builders moving out of the end of Cedar Park, Round Rock, Hooverville, Hutto. They're not pushing the first-time home buyer lots anymore. They're after industrial, commercial, that releases the biggest tax burden on the purchases. Then they're looking for the 500,000 $500,000 home. Now, the outskirts, some Carolina, Avalon, Gerald, Liberty Hill, that they're collecting all of the smaller first-time home buyers now. But that doesn't mean that's all they're going to get. That was the injection to get them started. Now that they're coming, they can be more stringent. That's the reason the current subdivision ordinance was set up at 85-foot lots. It's pretty stringent. You can always relax that, but you can't go the other way. But if you allow 50-foot lots, it's hard to now change the ordinance to accept 60-foot lots. So, that's my opinion, my personal opinion, is I like the more stringent ordinance, because that gives you guys the flexibility. If you want to allow a 50-foot average on this one, great. That doesn't mean you have to do it on this one. So that's y'all's decision. And it's gonna be on a case-by-case basis, depending on where the subdivision goes. The next one may be out on the east, on the west side, on the other side of 95. Now they've got a lot bigger expense to tie into the city utilities. It's a whole different mechanism to think about. But the thing you guys have to think about as a city is what you want for the city of Greenville. For example, this is a huge tax base that could help pay for a low infrastructure. I get it. I don't like small lots either. Especially, I don't like the look of driving down the road and seeing everything exactly the same, it's all the same material. And even though it's different designs, layouts, they all look the same. I mean, I see that in photos all the time, and I can't stand it. So, I get it. I do like what they're doing with if this is what they're showing, some of these houses in here. Some of those do look, kind of have that old time feel to it, and they kind of put the sample. The other thing I would say about the lot sizes, the current lot sizes that are around them, you have to be careful with that. For example, my house is technically on 3 lots. When the Granger was originally subdivided back in the late 1800s, they were subdivided in 17-foot lots. And people bought however many lots they wanted to make one big lot. So mine is actually 3 separate lots. Now, it's been all put together, that's right. So that's why you have the varying lot sizes around Granger. People just bought what they wanted to get the right lot size. So Granger was not subdivided with a 50-foot lot width or a 60-foot lot width in mind originally. So I want to caution you with that as well. So I will say that from an engineering standpoint, there's nothing wrong with what they have presented. It's safe. It means all the state the engineering requirements. As far as the lot width, it's going to be a preference, and that's you guys to decide.
And this is just, we have a single variance. So essentially, so that I can wrap my head around it, if we made a variance for whatever, 50-foot lots, the next one we could say, hey, we're only going to make a variance for 65-foot lots. Or whatever the council at that time decides.
No variance at all.
Or no variance at all, we could say 85-foot lots. And so we're not necessarily setting up a precedent, at all, correct?
That's correct, and it changes. Council members will change, somebody else is going to come on board. They don't have to go by what the previous amount was. They can change everything. So the precedent still is kind of a misnomer. It is something, but it's really not. Literally, the council can do whatever you want to.
So to ask a question, I see where you're coming from, Marcy. This is for, we're quasi going after first-time home buyers.
We're going after first-time residents moving to Granger.
Correct. But I guess what I'm asking is, to lead off of Monica's earlier question, what are people choosing in bigger cities? Are they going 2-story for the square footage? Are they, and I see you've got 1-story.
They're varied. And usually the way the developer sets it up is varied, just so it looks, unique and different. That it's all about price right now. And the reality is you can get off of Ronald Reagan in Leander school districts for $250. So you have to ask yourself who's going to move out to Granger for $250. We can't build here for $250 for the same house.
Right.
It's definitely cheaper to build up.
It is. Okay.
Cost of concrete, cost of land, cheaper to build up than it is.
I got you.
May I ask a question? To understand this correctly, if I was a home buyer going into this property, you would have a set of plans, different homes that I could choose. So I pick out my lot, and then I pick out my own house for that lot. If I want a 1-story, I pick out a 1-story. If I want a 2-story, I pick out a 2-story. If It's not that the builder comes in and just builds all these houses. We're not,
No, that would be
right.
way too much risk.
So these are pretty much, I get to pick and choose between carpet and types of
You get
stuff on the inside and.
Yes, ma'am, you get to choose your,
Faucets. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I know.
You get to choose, you look at the floor plan that you want, and then every floor plan typically has 3 to 4 elevations of what it looks like on the outside. And then you choose the colors, the stone, whether you want brick, and then you go to the design center and you pick out everything you want. Now, obviously, home builders like to upsell and swing, oh, you need granite in here. So the values are typically a lot higher. Having the number $168,000, there may be 4 homes in there that are $168,000. Because, people upsell. They decide what they want to pick and choose. And most of the home builders that I've talked about this is actually a very small development as far as lots available. Most of them want higher commitment of lots, but you can easily see 8 to 13 or 14 different home designs that you can choose from, because they're doing this all over the place.
Won't look all the same. You will have some that will look the same, but they'll probably be different colors. They may have, do they get to choose like the amount of brick that they want on it, depending on what price point they want to pay for it?
They can spend as much money as they'd like, and most builders are very strict about the colors. Like, the elevations can't be next door to each other, colors can't be the same. So when someone comes in, they're picking the best lot they want, and then they have to look and see who's built next to them, and then they get to choose that, with the whole concept of trying to make it look, as custom as possible at an entry level price, which is crazy to me to think $200,000 is entry level, but it is.
May I ask who did the homes here, the first, who built the homes here in Liberty Hill? You know that home builder? Pulte Homes, okay. No, that's what I was looking for.
Has Pulte talked to you at all, or no?
I have talked to many builders.
Okay.
We're in discussions with them, so.
Well, I guess nobody's gonna commit until we're done, so.
That's exactly right. And every home builder that I've showed this to, they're willing to take the risk. It is, they cite to me, of course, all the negatives. We love this town, that's why we decided to come out here and see if it was even possible. So, I'm pushing and selling the town as much as I can, but this has never been done before out here.
And her neighbor is 5 feet past that.
Sorry,
No.
drag this on a real quick test on how you
I cannot.
sell, how you decide who the builder is going to be. How do y'all decide?
Well, they're gonna have to meet several requirements, and the quality, being able to build the quality of the look and feel that we want, at the price point, and have a name recognition. We have to have a name recognition to pull people out here. Some of the earlier pictures that we had shown were all siding hardy plank to go with a cottage feel. And after these 6, 7, 8 months of meeting with home builders, they say the market wants some masonry on every house. We have to go with what the market wants. A home builder, if they can't sell their inventory within their parameters financially, then they can't do the deal. So that's where you go to, what is the market looking for in these outer areas? And, the other cities in the outer areas they're quite a bit bigger than Granger. And the numbers with Liberty Hill, you have to remember that Liberty Hill hasn't annexed in forever. So it's this much of Liberty Hill is on the city roll, but their ETJ is massive. and the school districts, you know, if someone can buy a house for $10,000 or $20,000 more and be on Ronald Reagan and Leander ISD, for the majority of them, that's a no-brainer. So we have some obstacles to overcome, and you know, the landowner here, he has set his threshold, and that's what I've been trying to work and negotiate as much as possible.
Thank you. You had made a comment, no phases, they'll all be built or
At this point, again, until I have something to show, every home builder that I spoke with, they were willing to commit to the entire development at once, which is better for the city, because the sooner we get full build out, the sooner you're gonna hit that 430,000 plus in property tax coming into your coffers.
I will say there's some pros and cons to that.
Go ahead.
From the city engineer standpoint, it's a phased approach that leaves the rest of the subdivision where you could come back and say, you know, 60-foot lot or whatever the case may be. The problem with that is if you're only doing that phase, that's the only portion of the county, that's the only portion that is transferred to single family home. So that's what goes on the tax roll, is just that's what Marshall is doing, they're gonna do the whole thing, so immediately, once this thing is filed, every lot on here becomes on tax. The city is now getting tax on that.
even though it doesn't have a house on
Even
it.
though it doesn't have a house, there's still a value to the lot.
I think it's important, you keep mentioning $460 some odd thousand of tax money coming to the city. That's not how much is gonna come.
Okay.
The city's portion is 0.65 per 100 evaluation. That's about, what, 143,000?
Okay, great.
Okay?
Yeah, but-
I'm just trying to, because
Thank you.
council needs to know this.
Thank you.
If you just account for that strictly on the
Okay, okay. I did not do those numbers. I am not that smart. I had asked somebody to look up your tax rolls, which then helps encourage them to come out here and fix the county roads.
Well, they'll fix their roads out in the county, they just won't touch anything inside the city.
ran the numbers on the school, and it's 143,000.
So, and you said the average house price we're shooting for $200,000? So, the payment on that would be at 3.92%. That's probably a little low. In fact, that is low. I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna say 4.75. The monthly payment on that would be $1,043 for a $200,000 house. That's not counting our taxes or insurance. So,
My daughter was paying $1,350 for a one-bedroom apartment until she moved 2 months ago to her house.
I got you beat. My daughter's paying $1,300 for 500 square feet in Austin.
Closer you get to Austin, the more it goes up.
Absolutely.
I guess my question is it's for us, it's a decision of do we want a starter neighborhood or not. It's pretty simple. I guess that's kind of where it is. Because if we go to 65-foot lots, there's two things that are going to happen. Either the houses won't sell, or the quality will go down potentially. And so the thing is do we want, essentially this would be an entry-level subdivision, and we've got to decide, and this is just me talking out loud, I apologize. We've kind of got to decide, you know, it's these types of decisions that really steer Granger of where we're going to go in the future.
And from what I read from the Historical Commission, an average house lasts for 75 years before it's either bulldozed or remodeled. And so by the time they're redoing these houses, we'll all be gone. And so maybe some of y'all will live longer than that. So, yeah, go ahead.
People we talked to reject the deal that other people who come here and buy, and now that we've done this, they'll go around and not hold your hands at all. They'll go talk to them.
We didn't have to annex.
That's something.
That's happening in Leander right now. And we didn't have to annex. We wanted to as a show of good faith with all these months of negotiating to try to get the best for the first out of the box. And it would definitely fuel the school system, any possible future school bonds. It fuels the activity, and we're not talking about cheap homes.
Whether or not subdivision and have nothing to do with the
No, nothing.
Correct.
Right. When you didn't annex, did they get city utilities?
Yes. By getting annexed, we have access.
Annexed, yes. But
Yes,
if they weren't,
Yes, because they're in the ETJ.
No.
it's up to the city.
You don't?
You do not have to provide them if they're not inside city limits.
okay?
Outside of their own community. They created their own mud, and that's all the house, they got 4,000 inside of 35.
To speak on that a little bit, because I got educated on that recently, Gerald is, and correct me Scott if I'm wrong, I believe they're about 1,500 population. So they're the same size as Granger. However, if you drive to Gerald, all of that is outside the city limits, which means the council has no control of it. And so I guess that's kind of where Mark is going with, and I know we need to have starter homes, because honestly, they're, when I was starting out, a $200,000 house would have been rough for me to do. So, and with our income level here in Granger, that is a house that a lot of people, I believe, could afford. But,
Do you know the income level? You got it down to the price of the home. Do you know what the income level would need to be to qualify for that?
for $1,000 a month, I'm guessing that's probably going to be about $50,000 a year. I could be wrong. More than that. More than that. More than that.
Okay. So, and right now from the 2016 census numbers, the average household income, I know it goes up, this is the average, is $41,000 here in Granger from 2016. So we're not talking about moving in a bunch of trailer trash. We're talking about moving in people who are making more than your average citizen makes in order to qualify for these entry-level homes.
And I guess I do agree, because Hutto has run into some issues with, I don't know how many, is there a mud in Hutto? Are there, because I know there was a time that people were building out of the city limits, but, and I know,
I thought it was annexing back.
okay, so that, there is no mud in it.
That was also a problem, they were faster than what they intended. So, infrastructure that was put in, there was no thought about the next subdivision, so over time, that water line was put in, needed to be upgraded to sustain growth where we're at. That planning of infrastructure to sustain that growth, the water line that was installed up in 10 years ago, going back to the
Which we've had conversations about making sure the line from us to the wastewater treatment plant is large enough for, the future that is in the way in between us and there.
Part of my job as a city engineer, and most of the construction plans, to look at it, and if you've got a 6-inch water line here, I need that in 8 for the future road, or whatever the case may be.
Pflugerville is having this problem right now. All these new subdivisions are coming. The roads that are accessing these subdivisions are basically 2-lane blacktop that are about as bouncy as anything we have here in Granger, if not worse. Plus the sewer and water lines, they're trying to lay new roads, new sewer lines, new water lines, same time they're building new subdivisions. And it's a nightmare. You cannot get down Pflugerville Parkway anymore from 130 to the Weiss Road because they've had to shut that road down basically to rebuild it.
So what do people do if they don't get the city utilities as far as like the sewage? How do they, with the septic tanks in or what?
You can't, yeah, well, in order to do a septic and a well, you need 2 acres. I believe, is that still correct?
Piece of land.
2 acres in order to do a septic and a well, still in Williamson County?
Yes, because my brother had to get his re-permitted recently. So, yeah, you have to have a minimum of 2 acres. And then also the county engineer tells you what type of septic system that you're gonna have. You may have simply a gravity or aerobic or whatever. It depends on the area that you're in.
And the size of the house.
Actually, the septic system can be put in on half acre. As long as it is chlorinated and that it's waters your yard.
Is that a new change with Williamson County? Because I thought it used to be 5 acres.
In Georgetown, it's been there for 4 years.
He told me we've got 7 acres, so
I understood, and when I said 1 acre, I didn't mean 1 acre just for the septic. I meant that, yeah.
They can have their own self-contained septic system. One of my questions is, what if somebody came in and said, I'd like to buy 2 lots, and the problem is just build a single dwelling on it? No, the contractor do that.
I think that would be incredible because it would only elevate the neighborhood. I could see people wanting to do that on the open field on the end of those cul-de-sacs.
That does happen on all things I wrote.
So do we have established lot subdivision?
Yeah, there is a lot.
Right?
Now.
What is your established lot price?
My house is 79.
Don't know yet?
We can't know yet until we get the plat and then the construction plans, and we'll send them out to bid. We have some estimates, and honestly, that's in a huge spreadsheet that, I don't know. Again, we reverse engineered looking at what we feel doubling the price, the entry-level price of a home for what is the average here as our minimum. That's a huge risk, and that's our entry level. And then going up further than that.
I see where she's coming from.
No, that's fine.
Average lot
I had to
size,
try that.
47.5, they hope from 50 to 55.
Y'all, that was P&Z's recommendation. And you're saying we're coming out at
Right now,
40 to 45, you'd hope 47.5, so we're coming in.
right now we're coming at 45.94 on this bottom side of your plat. I've got it typed in there.
45.94? The
Yes,
range
ma'am.
was from
So,
41 to
46.
56.4.
I'm laughing because that's the average, if you don't want one,
That's right.
yeah.
However, we only have one 40-foot lot. That's on the entrance. They start at 41, go up to 56.42, and then our depth is very varied, from 110 to 147. So it's hard to hit an average of 47.5. You've got topography, floodplain, you know, the roads, the setbacks. We offered to do a 5-foot setback of landscape from the curb, so that the sidewalk is then 5 feet, so kids aren't playing right next to the curb, which a lot of developers, that's what they're aiming for, to keep the lot size. So we offered several of these kind of amenity features to raise the caliber of the neighborhood and still keep it within this price, which it's a high price compared to what is here right now. I mean, you do have some, obviously, but they're on multiple lots and they're much bigger.
Once again, if we reject this plat, we reject your variance, where do you go back, what goes back? You know, you do the lot size, you start from square one, you do the lot size, and plus the houses have to go up, correct?
If this is rejected based on 1.5 feet, my instructions are we're tabling it till first quarter. We'll look at it again then. And then we would have to redesign, we've already spent close to $80,000 in engineering, soil testing, and that's not including the land.
But that all goes back into the cost of the house.
Absolutely, the prices are gonna have to go up, and then I'm gonna have to go see if it's even marketable out here. Because it does have to do with amenities and how close you are. That's why on my first page, I show how close you are to 130 and I-35, and because I'm taking this to try to pitch to home builders, and they're like, that's way out there. It is. There's no question.
I'm just struggling.
And if we approve it tonight, then this
We'll be issuing our construction drawings and putting them out to bid to several different contractors, and our hopes are to be turning dirt in first quarter.
I was gonna say, surely we get.
And the fight, yes.
Normally on the there's a signature for the city engineer, in conformance with the city, and that's what we can
And the fire chief has to approve. So if the fire chief comes back and says 2 entrances, then we have to do that. And we are willing to abide by whatever the fire chief says.
Can I ask a question, Marcy?
Debbie had to percolate up here.
Oh, go ahead, Debbie. I apologize.
She was getting ready to, she was.
You go right ahead.
I'm sitting here trying to read exactly what are we agreeing to on this variance?
Just the lot size. Am I correct?
Yes.
Everything else is meets or exceeds your ordinance.
We are agreeing to this particular lot size, right? No, go ahead. Please do. Show me what I need. Okay.
This is the only.
This is our variance. So if the fire chief comes back and says you have to have 2 entrances, you will still have to keep these lot sizes, you will probably lose.
We will lose. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We will lose
I want to make
lots.
sure that didn't redo the whole thing and we go back to smaller lot
Yeah,
size.
we'll have to lose some lots, and obviously that's very standard, and so we're willing to do that.
How much havoc would it cause if we went to 50-foot average?
And as opposed to 50-foot lots. And the reason I ask that is looking on here, there are some 31s, and trying to do the math, I realize what they're doing, because nothing's perfect.
Are you talking about?
So if you look here, to show you, so there, on the end, these are 31-foot lots.
These are 41 foot lots. So what they did, you flip through your book, it's actually easier to do council book. And flip to the next page. There you go. Now, if you look, it's really hard, you gotta get your glasses on straight.
Come here, I'll read it to you.
So, the preliminary plat, he's looking at these little, that's probably what he's got here.
I'm making a mess here, guys.
Take a look at it.
I'm making a mess. So, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, 46.
So, we can only up or down. I can't, that's what it'll look like. So, the reason is this was done by planning and zoning, this is my fault.
Okay.
Thank you.
You don't wanna see this. This will be a little bit. So, now this one, sorry, I'm off base, since she's correcting me. We can only up or down the planning and zoning process.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, looking at this, I just want to explain my thought pattern. This is 31.
Y'all see, that made me feel a little more.
This is 41. So if she were to make this one bigger, they're just, the numbers are a little different. Because, and that's why I didn't figure out. Well, when you look at these, so this one is 74 feet here, and it's 120 feet deep. From this one, this is a massive lot. So whoever buys it's gonna be a big house. So by, I guess where I'm going with this is what I was turning in my head. By having averages, you're gonna have some really nice homes, and then some big homes, and then you'll have the smaller starter homes. And they're all mixed together. That's what I wasn't understanding. Does that make sense? And they're all identical, these aren't. So, and this is what helped me, because when I was looking at it, I couldn't see it very well because this was so small. I'm getting old. So, 100, this is 127 foot deep. That's actually a good lot. It's deep.
Yeah, where's he based there? Y'all based there?
It's deep. So I have a large backyard, but they're not very long.
And they typically
So, well, the difference is they're running water.
it's because they wanted to be part of the Ranger.
If you have the houses closer together, they can have larger yards.
There's no, no, those
It's cheaper for the plumbing.
the Ranger has to have it.
That's why she said.
Water's covering our issue, so.
Absolutely.
So we don't want to blow, like you to get a house that won't work in Ranger. And, if that makes sense. Now, this, and these are 45 foot lines.
No, those are all 40.
They're 40.
Every one of those are 40.
So she said every one of these are actually.
I double checked with the developer and the builder.
So, having that, I understand that, no, we aren't voting on this would be the next one. I didn't, so that's what Scott was explaining. So, seeing this makes me feel better. To see how they're all different, this makes me feel better. Well, remember she's thinking about doing, taking out lots down here, and then the whole the problem that I have though is no, here it is. So looking, this is still my concern, and I know we all talked about that previously, but this is awful, because I like it coming straight in here. And yes, I agree that, but that other way, if we go this other way, I'm worried
It's gonna be like Frogger's situation, because if you turn out here and somebody's turning here, they could, and then the screen's going.
Are they leaving the property?
No, yes.
Because if they do, they could have, their home, I get this.
They're gonna send. Eventually.
So right there, they have.
Oh, it's a bump out.
Well, that is what they've done, they've got a turn, so it's 30 minutes. What we've done for fire protection in the past, it's really very that. So there, that's a fire. We have an accident here, this is no different than putting a block in the I will take you out to your, look, we've done that.
Do we have room? So we did. Okay, sorry. Okay, not a problem.
Wait a minute.
We always have everything.
For a couple of meetings, we need to be transparent.
Well, I went through everything that we got from the county. I went around to all the different areas, trying to get all the points, trying to get close to the school. Kind of really, yes, you can, it's there.
I know it. We're gonna fix that.
They're about this big.
And that's not work.
And, yeah, the speech going on for transparency.
To say that again.
One of the things that you get good at, Bud
Is
Light,
there any more discussion?
I just want us to be able to.
the traffic light,
And do at that point,
I'm just saying, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
any added protection that anybody wants to do, Bud Light will work real well.
Trap where they found
Got executive session.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Unofficially executive session.
31 lots here. I kind of feel like trying to be a father, emergency,
County flooding those neighborhoods.
Get some,
You need to look at
no, it's not like chocolate.
If y'all don't mind, I'm going to discuss a little bit of what we just discussed on this. We were, sorry, for transparency purposes, we were just discussing what the average lot size.
Not what
Got another sidebar, not a problem.
well, if it's on the street or is it, we only do the ones on the street, if there's somebody driving.
Okay.
So part of the discussion is we were looking at the average lot sizes. And so by having the average lot sizes, the reason that is important, we're getting educated here, is because no matter how you plat a subdivision, the lots are never going to be perfect. And so that's why going off of an average versus exact numbers. So if we said they have to all be 50-foot lots, we would have an enormous amount of wasted space because you literally couldn't even have cul-de-sacs because they wouldn't fit. So we were discussing that. The other thing that we were concerned about is the entrance, and as far as fire code having 2 entrances. Scott Brandon brought to the attention of the council about putting a barrier, so there would be a turn lane, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there would be a turn lane on one side, and then there would be a concrete barrier which would essentially account for kind of like a second entrance.
Call it a median.
A median, okay, thank you. And then therefore, that kind of alleviates our safety issue with having two entrances, because the median would be there to prevent people from blocking the neighborhood, correct?
Now, I would say that it's still up to the fire marshal to approve that.
Okay. And so we can definitely go back and circle back with him to see if that is okay. And so, and then looking at the traffic flow, just due to the way this side of town is laid out, the two streets just really, they kind of land in an awkward position. And that's why the concern about the two streets is there. So, does anyone else have any more discussion or, and I guess my personal feeling is I would always like to see bigger lots, but I do understand that there are financial forces that drive business. And to get a starter home in Granger, anything that we were to do could potentially price these houses out of people's budgets. And therefore, I know out in Manor, I know you don't have anything here from Manor, but Manor, I drove through Manor, there was.
For each one of these cities, I had examples, so.
Oh, yeah, you did, I apologize. So 185,000. I guess what shocked me is, you know, I've spent my whole life around here, and I drove through Manor the other night at about 11:30. And little old Manor isn't little anymore.
11,000 people.
It blew me away. I mean, it was covered in lights. And so, I don't go out to Manor very often, but, the other night, I did. And so, that shocked me. So I understand that, market forces, you know, if you work in Austin, a $185,000 house in Manor, what's going to drive you to pay the same price in Granger? And if it doesn't sell, then you would have to back off and on quality and lower the price of the house. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of talk out my thoughts. So I apologize for rambling, but does anybody else have any comments? I feel better. Anybody else have any questions at all? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve or to not approve?
I make a motion on item number 6, action item number 4, that we approve the variance that was set by planning and zoning for the lots to be an average of 47.5 feet.
All right, Monica made a motion. Does anybody want a second?
I'll take a second on that.
All right, Lynn Springfield has seconded. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, that's 3, 4, and all opposed. So you're opposed, and I'm sorry, Monica, I didn't see. Oh, I apologize. So there was 4, and 1 opposed? Did I get that correct? Okay. All right, 4, and 1 opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, council. I would also like to mention we had submitted the zoning application at the same time, and it didn't get on the agenda, but after speaking with Mr. Murrah, that can come later. So we'll do that at a different time. Thank you.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Normally, the zoning application is done for changing the zoning from like residential to commercial or something like that. In this case, it's agriculture. Once the plat is filed, it automatically becomes single family. So there's no reason to zoning change at that point. So I know she filed the zoning change and all of that. In reality, correct me if I'm wrong, Chrissy, but
You're right.
I believe it's the part of the file that what changes with the single family.
And then the city updates the zoning map. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Watch for deer driving on the market.
All right, moving on to number 5, discuss, consider, and possible action relating to building inspection and plan review services with ATS, required as the previous building inspector resigned on 11/5/18. City Administrator, Kevin Bradshaw. And I don't know if y'all saw in the packet, but I'll thumb to it really quick. There is a price list. It's almost to the back, if I remember correctly.
Right here.
The advantage, I'm just going to speak about this, Christie probably has a lot more experience with this than me, but the advantage of a company and signing a contract, this is going to cost more than what we were doing prior. However, they have managers overlooking the inspectors. They have to file reports with the managers. There's more oversight, I guess, is what I'm going for. And Mark. I think this is for Scott. You can catch him. Just get. Okay. Anyways, not everybody on council might be aware, but we were having some issues with our current, our previous, thank you, Christie, our previous building inspector. There were some things that me and Christie felt were not lining up. Christie had a conversation, I had a conversation, felt like we were going in circles with ordinances. And so, anyways, I think this is
We couldn't get answers to questions. Simple questions. And then we got a resignation letter.
So unfortunately, we're going to have to make a decision. We can either adopt this company. There are others.
This one was recommended to me by 2 different cities.
You mind me asking what city?
Taylor and the other one.
Okay.
I can speak to their performance. I just had sections over here, and the guy was extremely communicative. He relayed his time frame. He was there on time. Walked me through, gave me 2 cents on, some advice he probably didn't have to give me on some of the things. Super nice, cooperative.
Was this in Taylor?
Was this last week? This was
last week, yeah. He got him art. Came out. He was super nice. I mean, very agreeable.
And
because they said they would do it until council approved.
yes,
It was he said, we just started, this is our first one.
yes,
Or something. I'm like, okay.
correct.
So-
What do they cost?
They're a little more expensive. The price is in your packet.
It's
A
right
little
here.
more expensive than
Oh,
the,
you mean, is that the inspection?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's $55 for a plumbing rough-in. Foundation pour inspection's $55. So,
But it don't cost us anything.
no, we're past there.
Oh.
And
Super problem. So,
well,
move with it.
I guess if y'all don't mind, if Lynn's got,
And-
he just had his house inspected, so that kind of speaks.
Yeah, the guy
At
was,
least-
again, very, very
Yeah,
timely,
because I
communicative,
had
well.
people complain about,
I can honestly say almost every inspection I had a complaint.
I gave this dude some deer steaks. So, super great guy.
Can I sign up for this?
All right.
okay, so there's
Would
no.
would y'all like to make a motion or more discussion?
All right, on item number 6, action item number 5, I move that we contract the building inspections and plan review services with ATS.
All right, Monica made a motion. Lynn seconds. All in favor? All right, it looks like unanimous. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Number 6, yes.
No, you're right.
Discuss, consider, and possible action on regarding a stipend to chief for 18.5 weeks as acting city administrator with a payment out of the fiscal year 17-18 budget. $325 per week for a total of $6,012.50. This item was held over from October 8, 2018 regular council meeting by a vote of council, Mayor Cheatham. So I think everybody knows
Chief really did go above and beyond and get us through that rough time of budget. And so this was above and beyond his normal work duties that his salary covered. And I'll just say my personal preference is, I know it's a lot of money, but I feel he earned it.
My 2 cents would be if he didn't do it, we had to pay somebody else to do it. If there ain't even that person out there.
There was, and I actually contacted companies, and it was going to be almost $90,000 to have an interim city administrator come in. Now, they charge outrageous fees, and the reason it racked up to that much money is they charge for hotel, because the person we were getting was gonna come from south of San Antonio. We're gonna have to pay mileage, we were gonna have to pay their hourly salary. It spun out of control. And honestly, for a city of our size, it wasn't even possible for us to swing that salary. We just couldn't do it. And so I was doing the very best I could, and Chief threw me a life preserver, and we got through until Christie saved us.
I had 2 questions after the last council meeting. One was, how much money wasn't spent on city administrator salary that was left over? It was $9,100. Also, were we upside down in the city budget last fiscal year? No. We did not exceed our total budget. We had money left over at the end of the year.
It wasn't like that when we did our budget though.
Well, we balanced the budget.
I know, but why did we have to cut out of Frank's budget then?
That was for the new fiscal year.
Yeah, that was this year.
You don't carry over what wasn't spent?
There is rollover, however, that's a whole nother discussion, but Chief actually discovered through many conversations that, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but this is the last 5 years or 6 years had not been closed?
Yeah, we have budgets in assist that started in 2009. Of those budgets, only 2 years, 2012 and 2013 were closed properly. All the rest of them were left open, and the funding did not roll over. So that was not discovered by our auditors.
Correct.
And I found that during my period of education when I was learning how to create a budget and assist for the city and where the funds were coming from and where they were going to. So I mean, like I said, it's a whole nother argument. So basically, right now, this minute in our bank accounts, we have about $150,000 in general fund and about $165,000 in the water sewer fund. So we're good. That money didn't disappear. It doesn't disappear, but you don't count it as additional income.
So to answer your question a little better, Linda, this is what part of the problem was, is because we did not close out the year in to each year, that money is supposed to roll over to the next year, and it was staying in that year. Well, what Gary was doing was she was still paying, from what we could gather, in like the Clausen bill from the previous deal, which we weren't supposed to be doing. And so now we will be closing year end. And so let's say we have $10,000 left over because Frank is extremely frugal.
Yeah.
Then that would roll over to the next year, and then we would need to, that would be funds that we would need to reallocate for that next budget, or the next fiscal year.
Frank was the vast majority of the savings last year in our budget because he is frugal with his expenditures.
He doesn't bring the John Deere to go get oil changes. He does everything himself.
Yeah.
And, you know, Frank is really, I'm bragging on him a lot. He's gonna, but he really does take care of his budget.
By the way, it is Frank's birthday tonight.
Happy birthday, Frank.
So excited.
Yeah.
Look at him. Party boy.
Okay. So you're saying we had money there? So why couldn't we pay him what we owed? No, that's not this subject, but you brought up we had money left.
Is no, I'm sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question.
I'm going to, in regards to Frank, if we owe him money for comp time, like, couldn't we ever pay him? And
He withdrew his request himself.
Now I can speak to that a little bit more.
we still owe him though, right?
We haven't fixed that problem yet. It wasn't that we don't owe Frank the money. That's a problem that is citywide. And so me and Christie talked earlier the week about who is salaried and who is not. Because right now we're having some of the employees that are putting in for overtime. Well, we're paying them overtime because they're actually hourly employees. We need to rework our employee manual because we've got some, in my opinion, some very big holes. And to pay Frank out, that was basically we need to fix the problem and then we need to square up with the employees. And by squaring up with Frank, that means we still had 10 other employees that we still needed to deal with. We haven't fixed the problem yet. So, sorry, that's not a very thorough answer, but we still need to fix the problem, and me and Christie have spoke about it. And we're gonna need a new employee manual, and we're gonna need some new policies and procedures to move forward.
So put a policy in place first and then make it right.
Correct. Because what's happened is we had people, we put Monica, she's good with her memory over here, but I believe about 3 years ago, we had an issue in Sabre and Gemini. We paid them out about 20 grand? 25.
You actually paid them for stuff that by policy you didn't have to pay them for.
Correct. So the issue that occurred from this is we passed, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Get back to him. I know we're talking about, what we need to do in the future. That's what-
Yes, you're right. I'm on that. Yes, we're not on that.
And that's important. We need to,
We'll put that on the budget item because she's right. I'm on a rabbit trail that's not on the agenda. So thank you, Christie. I appreciate that. Anyways, so answering your question, that's why we haven't, because there's another issue that honestly needs to be put on the agenda for the later date.
Okay. How did you come up with $325?
I had got that from talking to other people, that is, but the council can choose whatever they want. Because this is over and above, so.
I initially asked for $500 a week and the mayor suggested $325 and I accepted that.
Okay.
That was because I talked to other people, so
Okay, well, I did some thinking on my own.
Okay.
I took the difference between what the administrator was making for the year, $53,000. And I took it, I did it like for 56 weeks for pay periods in a year. Is that correct, Christie?
Yes, 56 weeks.
That's what my husband told me they pay theirs, 56 weeks. So taking that, Andrew was making $946.42. So I took what that is at 18 and a half weeks, because that was per week, and it was $17,508.92. Then I took what Chief was making for the year at $44,520, divided it by 56 weeks was $795 a week. And I multiplied that by 1850, which is 18 and a half weeks, which was $14,707.50. I took the difference between those two, because we were paying him as a chief, and he was doing the administration, but he was already getting paid for chief, so I was just looking at, shouldn't we just pay him the difference up to what the administrator would have been making?
And I guess the way I was looking at it was this was above and beyond his normal duties.
Yeah, but while he was doing this, he wasn't really doing a full-time chief job.
Actually, I was doing 2 full-time jobs at the same time.
I will, and I see where you're coming from, and I will admit though, Bob was emailing me 3:30 in the morning. And I was getting dings.
The difference in that is $2,800, so that's why I have a problem with $6,000. That's that's how I look at it. So
And I mean, if y'all want to suggest another number, I just really feel we need to.
I want to give him something, but $6,000.
Well, the city administrator would have earned more than that during that period of time, so.
Yeah, but you were still getting paid.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
job.
And if I'd just done what I was getting paid for, the mayor wouldn't have had the freedom to go work his job.
I'll throw one more thing in there that I guess is important. And this is aside from the money in here. Bob investigated, I'm going to use that word, and he found a lot of things that were incorrect because of just honestly, I'm going to say his daytime job, he was looking at things a little different than most people would look at things. And he really did work through a lot of things, and I believe we found out some things that we probably would not know if Bob had not been the interim. I'm just throwing that out there to basically say thank you, because I don't think we would have known some of the things that we know today if you hadn't been involved.
I'm glad to say that finally our TML coverage for our insurance is up to date and our assets are adequately covered, because they weren't before I started looking at this stuff. If we'd had a catastrophe, we may not have been covered.
And you also got the money back for,
well, I mean,
broadband?
Basically, I saved this money with the Banyan stuff. Instead of spending $32,000, we saved money there. I got a free signed up assist at a reduced rate. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean,
we did a lot in a couple of months.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was just every day it was something else, and some of those things we're still dealing with because there's no quick solutions to them.
So I guess it would, basically, if y'all want to throw a number out there, this is just a number I came up with. Y'all let me know. This is just stuff I did, so clearly, y'all were the one with the vote, so y'all throw something out there that y'all want.
Even those budget meetings, I would pay twice that, I swear, out of my own pocket. I mean, it's an arbitrary number, I guess, but I know we're up against the previous. I get Linda's point. That makes sense that you were doing 2 jobs at the same time. You helped to run all the numbers, extrapolate all that crud that I had no clue.
It's not that I don't want to pay for something, I'm sitting on this council to help my citizens, and that's a big chunk of money, and I looked at it a different way than y'all were looking at it.
We're going to get an impasse on that.
Excuse me, Linda, I got lost in all the numbers, sorry, I'm just kind of hanging in there this evening. What number did you come up with? 2,800, 2,801.42.
That was the difference in salaries, right?
That's the difference in salaries for the, okay. And if you do it by the hours, for 40 hours a week, it even comes out different. It comes out to be $3,019. So it's a little bit more if you do it for 40-hour week. That's just how I was looking at it. That's why I wanted to.
And
She did this for how many weeks?
18 and a half.
Yeah, 18 and a half when Christie came on, but she, you know, I mean, I've been there. She was sick a couple days after that, no fault of her own, and I just kind of kept on going. But she was there if I needed to call her. And it's not anything that I'm worried about.
These weren't normal weeks, but this is.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Did we have a master plan for the budget? Was there a master plan that you just filled in?
No, I had to start from scratch because the more I looked at what had been done before, first of all, the calculations for the income for the city weren't correct and had not been correct for many years. Secondly, the expenditures weren't correct because they had not been updated for many years. And I'll give you an example. One of the examples that I use is the TML insurance for various things wasn't correct and had to be updated. All the withholding amounts for the different employees weren't correct because they had been miscalculated based on calculations years ago and not updated. And it was very apparent that those calculations weren't correct because if you looked at the billing from TML, it was more than what the line items were set up for the fiscal budgets for the last 5 or 6 years. And that just threw me for a loop. So I had to go back to the ground floor and I had to justify each and every income source in each and every expenditure.
So we don't just have a master plan, you didn't just plug in numbers?
No, and
one of the other.
He created it all from scratch.
And what I found out also is nobody in the previous administrations, as far back as Sabre Davis, and I don't know how much further back than that, had ever sat down and actually talked with Fire Chief James Cervenka about his budget. As a matter of fact, he was kind of surprised when I called him because his quote was that Sabre Davis always told us we didn't have any money. And that's ludicrous.
Okay, I just wanted to know, wanted to see if we had just something you just plugged in.
I mean, it made me angry because, let me tell you something, if we don't have this fire department in this town, we're hurt.
Okay,
I have still, something else. I'm sorry, I know Chief, you took on a job, but Catherine, didn't you have to pick up additional responsibilities? Frank, did you pick up additional responsibilities?
Yes.
Janine?
If I may address the council, I believe all of the city employees picked up extra responsibilities to cover this position. And it's a travesty if you give one person pay and don't reinstate our $500 bonus. They earned it. All of the employees had to pick up. When I had to go to do report, my workers had to be out there working harder to cover for me. When I was in there helping Janine, they had to cover for me. All of us. Catherine helped with the reports for me on the CCR. We all pitched in. No one person carried the whole load.
And I know you're right, Frank.
And I don't object, but I do object to not recognizing that all of your city employees put forward extra effort. And they should be recognized.
That's why I'm fighting for my employees too, because, I mean, yeah, you did a great job, but they worked too. I think it should be across the board.
We need to figure out some rules that amongst the masses that we're at.
Yep. I've got some paperwork here, so.
Is that feasible?
Well, and, I mean, I guess if we're gonna do that, now, administratively wise, what we have on the agenda here is chief.
Yep.
We don't have anyone else on that. So we could, Christie, you can jump in here if I misspeak, but we would probably need to come back and create a new agenda item.
It's gonna need to be a budget amendment for, if we're gonna do employee appreciation.
Yeah, because we don't have that in our budget at all, so, and we took it out because it was such an awful year. So, I guess we're gonna have to figure out, well, I mean, if we table it,
Mayor, could I ask a question?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, so my understanding is, councilperson, you wanna pay me $2,800.
Yeah.
And the mayor offered me $325 a week. So are you looking for a compromise? Would you like to hear a compromise?
Sure.
Okay. 4,500.
I guess we need to talk with our administrator and see what, do you think we need to just have something figured out, or?
That has gotta be up to y'all as far as,
You vote on, y'all vote on how much it is.
I think we have in the budget to be able to do this, but the employee appreciation, we actually removed that line item.
yeah, that'll have to be,
That would actually be a budget amendment. Now, something Christie has informed me, we are only, and you correct me if I misspeak, 2 budget amendments a year, correct?
No.
Is that right? Or maybe I read that somewhere.
Is there a limit to the amount of amendments we make to the budget?
most cities do it twice a year.
Okay.
A
Most,
lot of
okay,
cities do it twice a year.
okay, now I must have read that
Some cities do
somewhere.
it once a year.
I got you. Now, to speak to that is, if we were to wait to the end of the year, and from what I've read, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason you wait to the end of the year is to kind of clean up messes that have happened,
Yes,
because life happens.
emergencies that have come up, things like that.
Right, and we have had one, because Frank fixed a check valve 2 months ago. So,
I did it now.
So, he did it in-house, which again saved us, about $7,000?
Yep, that was the estimate, 7,000 to replace it.
Because he had the part, and in the past, we had actually hired a contractor to do that, and we paid the $7,000 to do it. So, again, it goes back to Frank he saves the city money. So, I mean, if y'all,
Okay, I'm being the bully again. Don't y'all, any of y'all have any other input? First of all, when you're talking about end of year, you're talking about end of physical year.
End of fiscal year.
and the end of our physical year will be next,
September 30th.
September 30th.
So,
we're new in our budget.
I know that, and I'm sitting there thinking about putting, employee, what are we calling them?
Appreciation.
Appreciation back, all the way back to September is not fair either. That makes sense.
Yep, and
You what now? Yes.
Push it back.
Doing a, what do you call it, physical, the budget, doing a budget amendment at the end of the fiscal year all the way in next September is not fair to the rest of the employees that have worked hard now. That's kind of what I was getting at. Did Jerry do anything?
Yes, she did. She worked on the budget too, and she did pick up payroll. Not that it's the greatest, but we did get paid. So she did put forth, everybody put forth effort, all of us did, and we all carried the city through. I did pick up a lot of the reports that Andrew was doing, and I took them over. I just didn't say anything about it. But
Our job descriptions always said, and other duties. And other duties that design. I mean, I don't know what the job descriptions say, but it's kind of like,
for all utilities.
So, I mean, I know everybody did step up. I'm gonna tell you, Jerry printed checks, she sends me a text when they're waiting in my box to go sign. At that point, Monica started signing the checks because in the previous, Mayor Pro Tem didn't sign the checks. It was a city administrator. So Monica is carrying weight that, and honestly, the council, everybody did carry a little bit more. I can really honestly say nobody didn't pick up a little extra. Scott Murrah, I'm going to throw in our city engineer, helped me tremendously with the subdivision. And so, just because this is not something that I'm an expert at. So, but I understand your point though, Linda. And so,
I want it to be fair to everybody. I have to agree with that statement.
All right, so where's that leave us on this number 6?
Linda, would you like to make a motion for something, or up, down, or propose a number, or it's up to you?
I would like to see that we reimburse everybody something and not just one person.
So we can put together a proposal of some sort, if we're gonna go that route?
Let me ask you a question, just so that we don't get too far off base. Would this be recommended that we potentially put something else on the next month's agenda? And then that way to discuss the other employees that aren't on this.
Yeah, you would need to bring that back, because that's not on the table right now.
So I guess at this point, if we want to look at that, Linda, I would say, look, if y'all would be willing to make a motion to table till December. And then that way we can look at a little bit more, a wider, I see what you're saying.
I'm sorry, I just
I
want to be
understand.
there.
And so that way we can look at a little wider, but to stay on it,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Okay, on item number 6, action number 6, I move that we table this until December's meeting.
I second.
Okay, I'm sorry. When we have more information.
Okay.
So
Is there a second?
we're postponing until
December.
December, and that was, Monica made the motion.
Monica made the motion. Is there a second?
Linda seconded.
Linda, I'm sorry, and Linda Rabel seconded. All in favor? All right. All opposed by the same. Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to number 7, discuss, consider, and possible action relating to city Christmas party options. Mayor Pro Tem Monica Sturgeon.
Okay, our next meeting in December will hit on Monday, December the 10th, and I don't feel that we cannot have a meeting. We do need to have a meeting. So we can either set the Christmas party for a different date, or we can have it either before or after our meeting.
I'd like it to be a different date.
Not a problem.
Okay.
I understand. We did it last year on the same day, and it was a little hectic. And so, is there a day that everybody would like to have a Christmas party on that would work for everyone's schedules?
Do you have any suggestions, Ms. Bagshaw? Let's see.
The 14th?
On a Wednesday?
Not the Friday.
14th is a
Sorry,
Friday.
wrong month, I'm sorry.
Maybe an afternoon?
Okay.
As of right now, I don't have anything on the 14th. Does anyone else?
What time are you looking at?
Where are y'all looking at?
December the 14th.
Now, where?
Your house. You can get that memo?
And I mean, we could,
Where, you mean location for the party?
Location.
Uh,
Okay.
We can figure that out. We'll have it at Monica's house.
To be determined. Yeah, hey.
There's, we could also, we haven't budgeted for anything that the city would pay, so therefore it will be all at our expense, like a potluck type deal, finger foods or that. Or we could go to a restaurant somewhere and all meet and everyone individually pay for their own food.
We could go to Sonora's or something.
Do you want to take an official poll with the employees, see what they want? I'll do that, I'll take care of that. The 14th, so is that agreeable?
And say 6 o'clock or something, or 6 o'clock?
That's okay with me.
14th, 6 p.m. Okay, on action item number 6, number 6, on 7, I move that we set our Christmas party, city Christmas party, for Friday, December 14th at 6 p.m. The type of food and the location is to be canvassed or take an unofficial poll by Christy Bradshaw, and then we will make a decision from there.
Second.
All right, Lynn seconded. All in favor? All right, all opposed, with the same, seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to number 8, discuss, consider, and possible action, approval of Yard of the Month Christmas Decoration Contest, Mayor Pro Tem Monica John.
Okay, on this item, with the Christmas season coming, I just kind of thought it would be nice if we could offer like a sign or something, a public announcement of the people that would like to participate in dressing up their yards and decorating them. And then we will pick up a name of first, second, and maybe third place. And these people would register with City Hall so that we would know that they are interested. And then independent judges would go around and choose the best yard.
Can I ask a question just for discussion purposes? Oh, wait, do I need to wait? So as far as the registration goes, if we just did it without registration, I guess I'm just thinking out loud here, that's an extra step that somebody would have to do. Some people might not participate if they had to register.
This is true. The only thing is, with the registration, I didn't want to overlook a house. That way we would know. But,
I got you.
because, you would literally have to drive every street to say, oh, there's one over there.
Okay.
And by calling in, or just, not really a registration, just say, hey, I'm decorating my house, we would not overlook you. Your name and address.
Gotcha. I guess the reason I was thinking that is some people might decorate and not realize that there is a contest. And then you can't really give it to them because then they didn't register. But either way.
I mean,
Excuse me.
any suggestions
How
on
do
that?
you get the word out that there is a Christmas decoration? I know how you'll get the word out.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook is free.
Yep. Registration, there would be no charge for registration other than by, say, registering, you would give us your name and your house location. That way we wouldn't accidentally overlook you if someone's feelings were hurt.
Good idea.
Okay, that works.
You having a deadline on that registration then? Because if I see something that I really like and they're not, I'm gonna stop and tell them, hey, go register.
That's a good point too. That is a good point. So, no, I love the idea, and I'm just going to speak to this a little bit because it's things like this that bring pride to the community. And so, I think it's a good idea.
I think that is something that I tried to get the Chamber of Commerce to do for several years, and so I'm glad to see that you're stepping up to think about that, and I think that's a good idea.
And to your point, I think this is a chamber function, but maybe they could take it over at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, did you say, was it you that said you may have some ideas on who to provide the signs?
I can reach out to them and see, because I know the city can't really pay for this.
Can't pay for it, yeah.
So we'll have to figure out the signage situation, but I'll see what I can do on that. Would anybody like to second?
Well,
Oh, I'm
first
sorry,
of
go
all,
ahead.
I think that we should maybe set the deadline for Wednesday, December 19th to register, and the judging would be announced probably that Friday at some point, the 21st. Is that long enough?
Well, yeah, because they've got a deadline. They can put it out there now, they'll know.
Right.
Just the deadline or the announcement could be made before Christmas. The deadline to register the 19th.
Yeah, that probably works.
Okay, on action item, on number 6, action item number 8, I move that we approve yard of the month for Christmas decorating. People are to register with City Hall at no cost, providing us with their name and address so no one is overlooked. The deadline to register your house would be Wednesday, December the 19th, and there will be independent judges outside of Granger, and I will take charge of that, and the announcement will be made before Christmas.
A second.
Okay, Linda Vrabel seconded. All in favor? All right, all opposed by the same, seeing none, motion carries.
Let me know how much signs are, I might have some donations back.
Okay. Moving on to number 9, discuss, consider, and possible action regarding council approval of all training seminars and/or conferences prior to attendance. Mayor Pro Tem Monica Scutari.
Okay, I asked that this be put on the agenda simply because, as everyone knows, the budget was extremely tight and training, everything was tight. And at this point, we've exceeded all funds that we allotted, and the year has just started. So I feel that it really has to be important, and it's just not to go to something that everything should be approved, brought to us in the, like before and then approved.
Funds in what department?
All departments on training. I mean,
I haven't spent any training money in this fiscal year yet.
It's not just you in general, but all training. Like, I know there's certain things like Ms. Bradshaw will have to take. There's certain training the police department takes. There's training in all departments, but we have to put a cap on it. Not necessarily your department.
Okay.
We just have to be aware of what's going on, because training last year was extremely out of range, extremely. Housing, lodging, and everything. We don't have that kind of money.
To speak on this a little bit, this isn't a bad idea, and the reason for it being is it kind of forces us to plan ahead. And so, now I know things, look, I'm gonna say that, you know, Catherine did go down the Main Street project, one day.
Registered for 1 day.
Right, and that was, that kind of creeped up on us, but, because we got in. So, for the most part, I would argue that we can put this before council. And, you know, there's, you know, I approve the 1 day, but, the thing is I think that was a little abnormal. Yes.
All right, if we already approved it on our budget, such as Bob and myself, would it be sufficient for us to just let the administrator know that we have someone up for a class? Because mine, I have to do investigation and find out when I can get a class, and I just have to get them in when I can get them in.
I see what you're saying, because of the water department.
Otherwise, I'd have to send them out of town, and I try not to do that. I try to keep it confused where we can cut the cost.
I got you.
Yeah,
No, I see where you're coming from.
I mean, I've only got 2 things going on in this fiscal year. One is this Saturday, I'm having annual qualifications. That doesn't cost us anything other than what we spend on targets and bullets, and that's a state requirement. The second deal is I've already registered for my state legally mandated 40-hour training class in January. Nominally, what I've done in past years, I don't charge the city any travel. I don't take a city vehicle with me. I travel in my own vehicle on my own time. The only thing that I ask for reimbursement for is lodging, and that's it. The training itself doesn't cost me anything because the state of Texas pays for it.
Right. But Frank, can I ask you a question? Would it be possible for us to approve, let's say, a D license, but we don't give you date? Would you be able to say, hey, I know coming in January that we're going to test out. I don't know when, and I don't know when the class is. You see where I'm coming from?
Speaking of that, Clayton's already finished his class, and I'm just waiting for him to tell me he's ready to take the test.
Okay.
That will be the D for the wastewater.
So, because yours is a very different situation, because those classes are only offered at certain times.
Right.
And they fill up, and we don't necessarily want somebody driving to Amarillo to test for a D. So, because we end up shelling out thousands of dollars. So I'm just trying to come up with a way.
I have the test in Toulouse.
Okay.
That's the closest, and I found it was the cheapest. It's 25 per testing. Everywhere else is 50 and up. So I did find that. I go online, I find the most economical and knowledgeable class I can for them, and that's what I registered.
So I guess the question I'm asking, if we were to pass this motion, how can we do it in a way that allows you the flexibility to continue doing what you're doing?
To allow me to report to the administrator of the action, and she can report to the council as she sees fit. I mean, she is over finance, is she not?
Yeah, well, I guess, you could amend your motion to make an exception for the water department due to the unflexible, because these tests are all over the place, and I know they are. I don't know, I'm thinking out loud, I'm sorry.
The only reason I asked if this was on here, because recently going through budget workshop, the training was just blown way out of proportion last year. I am trying to avoid that in this next coming year, because there was a lot of money that was spent, I have to say, unnecessarily. And some of it was good, and I have nothing against training and stuff, but it does have to be pertinent to the city and what we're going forward with.
With that being said, I may be looking into an applicant's license so that I can talk to the city.
See, that would be pertinent to the city, but it's hard to budget for stuff when all of a sudden you have no clue that any of this happened till you're hit with it, and you find stacks and stacks of receipts, and it's like, when was this and where and why?
Can I ask another, so the school board, and I'm just gonna throw this out there, the school board, so we could have Christie and I approve it, but it would need to be on the following council meeting for approval. I know that's backwards, or we could just say everything's to be approved through, the council except and exclude the water department. Because the water department, I guess, is really
Public Works in general.
public, because there's things that pop up there that are a little different. Because, Bob, he already knows where his training is.
And I know where mine is.
And you know where yours is, so it's Public Works that's the issue.
Really, even with Public Works.
Where did we go over last year? I'm just curious.
In the office. Like,
The
when,
administration?
what budget line to shut it all comes out?
She goes to function.
That would be out of the office, administration,
City
correct?
Hall.
City Hall.
Administration. Yours and mine were right with you.
Yeah,
Last
I mean,
year,
I know you and I didn't go over because I had a chance to look at both of our figures.
Well, actually, to speak to that is Frank's training went to City Hall. Remember in budget, we saw that it got, it got moved.
Because I know last year, you went, Andrew went, I was supposed to go, I didn't go. Debbie went and paid for that. Did they? Yes.
So, I guess, I see where you're coming from, and I think, the issue was, and part of the issue is things were being moved from line item to line item that probably shouldn't have, because that's not the way it works. And so that won't be happening this year. So if we run out of a particular line item, we would have to put it before council for a budget amendment. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so it's going to be slightly different. But I think having, maybe making the motion to where City Hall training, needs to be cleared, because Christie knows what hers are, and, I think that would work. Y'all are agreeable to that.
Even said that, I would still, as a council member, like to know what training you're going to. You know, like who's going where.
You
And
want
I-
to report.
Yeah, and I also understand that there's certain things the police department, y'all have to do, it is that way.
Yeah, there's some
certain
things we're legally.
that Christie has to do. And Frank, there's certain things to get the guys certified he has to do. But it's kind of a thing like where he can say, hey, Clayton's about ready, he's starting to study, I think he's about ready. So you can just kind of say, hey, Clayton's ready, it may not happen for 2 months, but he's ready, just inform us. We were so uninformed, it was unreal. Budget was a total
I will
shock.
tell you right now, he's ready. I'm planning on January of putting Kurt into a water class so that he can get ready for his water D.
So let's put those on December and
Right, see, that's all I'm asking, just so you already know that's coming, so just put it on there it is, it's approved.
And then sometime I have to squeeze in class, which is very hard for me to squeeze it right now.
And I think we've got a good system that's going to keep an eye on that. I have one question too. And I agree with you totally, but when the, ability to go down and pick up the Main Street, whatever we got, grant, thank you.
When we
Ward.
actually
I
got
knew it was
awarded
something
it,
else.
yeah.
That's me, Will's running up there. When, Ward, would that have had time to go before city council to approve?
No.
So we have to have some sort of ability to.
well, the only
You know,
thing
pick
is
up.
that it could have been done ahead of time. Like
Contingent,
approval
yeah.
contingent upon,
Contingent, right.
but it wasn't. And so now that's why we're having.
See, as long as we have the contingency, it just keeps us aware of it, because budget, it was a shock.
I mean, we
Real
didn't
shock.
know that we were gonna get the approval for it, for the Main Street portion of it. And, I mean, that was kind of a drop on
It happened, right.
everybody's part.
Yeah, I had to take the
So-
day off and I was not expecting that and it was a
Right,
scramble.
we didn't know that, so that was
Not
kind
at
of a
that
last
time.
minute thing that we had to take care of.
So some things like that are going to happen occasionally.
Well, like, we could have, like, budgeted for it, say, like, if we get approved, this is here, so that we're covered.
We honestly did not get the email with the information.
But the fact we applied, no, like, we applied for it, so we could have set this further back, saying, if in the event we do get approved, this is what's gonna happen, so let's work it into our budget, which is such a shock at the budget workshop this year, total
Well,
shock.
I want to ask you, obviously, included in this, I also have to go all the pieces, and do like mine.
Well, I mean, that's part of training, but we need to know about it, not just get hit with it.
If I can, I see where you're going with this, so I think there's something a little better approach.
Okay.
It wasn't just training, it was a shock. There was a lot of
Well,
things.
there was a lot, but we have to get a cap starting somewhere.
Correct. And I guess, to make a recommendation, and me and Christie briefly talked about this, but the way the school board does things is they review checks at the end. And it's, I know it's already spent, and you're approving things that have already been done. But the reason for it is it's to keep the council knowledgeable of.
Well, Andrew was doing that, but we didn't know what line item was going to what line item.
And so, I guess, and
This was it. That's why I asked for it.
yes,
That doesn't show you where the money came out.
I guess is where I'm going from, is that I
Show you how much
think there is a process
We
that
can see purchase.
we need to put in place for more transparency. And I think, just have you seen that, argumentative, but I think it needs to be more substantial than that.
No, I mean, seriously.
And it's not just training, it was a lot.
It was everything.
It was a lot.
It wasn't just that one line item, it was
It was a lot of
across the
things.
board was a train wreck.
And so I think, I guess where I'm coming from, is if we would be all right tabling this, maybe coming up with a more financial look at how to get oversight. Because I think that is where we were all shocked
She wasn't figured.
I think everybody here was
Money
saying.
that was being spent.
You think it's better way Jerry was this 95% of the cost?
Yes, I think it needs to be broader than just training.
It wasn't only training.
And I guess, you know, if y'all will give me and Christie some time, and maybe I can call some other cities and ask.
Take no action.
Yeah, if y'all wouldn't mind, I see where you're coming from, I think we're all wanting, this budget shocked us. And hopefully we can look at something a little bit more, and that way it's not as restrictive, but we need to know what's going on. And I think that's where the problem is. Does that sound reasonable?
Okay, item number six, action item number 9. I move that we take no action at this time and discuss avenues and angles to come up with a better way of controlling our money, and discuss that possibly at the December meeting.
All right, Lynn seconds. All in favor? All right. All opposed by the same? Seeing none, motion carries. No, I completely agree with you. Moving on to number 10, discuss, consider, and possible action regarding the City of Granger's organizational chart. And that is in the back of the book also.
Okay, I talked to Christie prior to the meeting, and I pointed out a couple of corrections. Right under Chief Bob Shelton, it should be Sergeant Tommy Thomas. And then we have listed Assistant Chief number 1, G.T. Beer, and, Reserve Officers Assistant Chief. Tommy Phelan, G.T. Beer need to come off, they are on the fire department.
Gotcha, okay.
Those two just need to totally come off.
I was using the.
That's okay, it's just an
He was already in there.
Yeah, I mean, because I talked to her about it before.
So if I can speak to this, me and Christie did talk briefly about this. Because of the way the City of Granger is set up is I'm over everything. However, that being said, we could give Christie some administrative oversight. And, what I mean by that is, because Bob is over his department, Frank is over his department, Christie's over her department. However, I think everybody's quite aware that I have a day job, and I am not going to be as available to really drill into some of the minutia of the everyday going-ons. And so with that being said, we could give Christie some administrative oversight that she could give to me and or council for approval, if that sounds in my office.
Are you willing to do that? Make additional?
Because Frank, did you report more to Andrew than you did? Seemed like Andrew was,
And it was.
Andrew was basically, general manager.
The way it was set up by council years ago, about 3 years ago, is the city administrator had financial oversight of the other departments, but all department heads reported to the mayor. There were some things that Andrew did for Frank that were over and above and beyond a lot, and that was fine with them. And we all had a good working relationship.
So I guess on that, I think we can always do improvement. And having Christie, because this is going to go back to a new personnel manual. And those are things that each department head, when you get that, we're going to, Christie could do some oversight with the new personnel manual and things of that nature. And so we just got to kind of determine what that looks like, because none of us, some more than others, will have time to come up and review this. But me being the overseer of all the departments, I can honestly say I don't always have time
to really dig into each individual problem. And so, because there's a lot going on in their day-to-day where Chief or Frank or Christie will call me and they need me to deal with something. And those are kind of the things I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So I would, having Christie be able to look over it and then, more things that I'm worried about is like time and time off, things like that need to be monitored, if that makes sense. Anyways.
And that would be a lot easier on you instead of me sending you a text message.
This is true. So,
And I feel that with Christie being in the office on a day-to-day basis and with her training, it would take a big load off of you.
I'm getting gray hair.
Me too. At least you should.
He has no hair.
I mean, Christie's there with her training and stuff. I feel she's more than qualified. And as city administrator, secretary, she's pretty much in charge of the finances, so she has to know what is going on to dictate.
So I guess what I would like to see, and at this point this is impossible, so Christie don't throw a brick at me, but I would like to see eventually that once we get the finances correct, if Christie could, let's say Frank, he buys something in his department and that goes to Jerry. Jerry enters it into the computer system, and then maybe Christie at some point would be able to send an updated budget so Frank knows where he is in his spend. Now we can't do that right now because our computer system, we're not there yet.
It's not there, no.
It's broken. So, but I guess where I'm going with that is where I could see this going in the future. And I would like to,
You should be getting reporting.
Yes, we should be getting reporting in each department head, so Bob should be able to know where he has spent, and Frank, so that they know where they are year to date, as opposed to Frank in August finding out that his budget had been blown when he was actually well under budget. Yes, Christie, go ahead.
Are there any other updates or changes we need to make to that org chart corrections?
We just need to there needs to be another box out there for the fire department. Really.
That's a good idea, maybe for James Cervenka's fire chief.
And the dotted line to fire.
That'd be good. Now, they don't fall under our,
No,
they're volunteer.
Well, they can change every year, but they normally don't.
Well, but I guess where I'm going is James does not answer to me.
No.
No.
And because that is a volunteer department, and they do not fall under the purview of the city of Granger.
Well, if they spend, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna make one little small correction. They spend city funds.
Correct, and we own the fire department.
Therefore, they do have to be responsive to council.
Correct, but
And I
I just,
have had no problem with James. I mean, he took the initiative to come speak to me.
where I'm going with that is I am not over James.
Yeah.
Is where I guess I was trying to go with that. So, cause he is not an employee of the city of Granger.
No.
So, anyways, if you would like to make a motion.
Make a motion to approve with corrections, that's my suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, on item six, action item number 10, I move that we make a couple of changes. One, change police officer under Bob Shelton to Sergeant Tommy Thomas, and we remove reserve officer G.T. Beard and remove reserve officer Tommy Fila as they are fire department members.
Second.
And Lynn seconded. And then all in favor? All right. All opposed by the same, seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to number 11, discuss, consider, and possible action regarding visual recording of the city council meetings.
Should I make a brief statement here about this? All of this equipment here, for about the last 2 years, myself and Frank and some of his guys, we've been hauling it over here setting it up. Setup takes approximately, anywhere from 3/4 to an hour to set up and about a half hour to break down every time. And I agree with the assessment of the quality of the recordings that we tried to put on YouTube so people can look at them. They're horrible. Some of them you can't understand. I don't know how to make it better. We've had a technician who set this thing up come in and look at it one time a couple months ago, right after Andrew left, and we had to pay the guy to get him in here. I'm basically afraid to change any of the settings on this machinery, because if I do, it's gonna make it worse than what it is right now. It's horrible. There's got to be a better way, guys.
One of the things I think maybe when we get back into City Hall, the original City Hall, that we could have this stuff set up permanently. All the hauling back and forth is not good for this equipment, all the cords and stuff, rolling them up, and that it's really not good long-term. And I agree, the quality is extremely poor. And also, like when our auditor was wanting minutes and stuff, he didn't want to watch this stuff for hours and hours. It's extremely boring and it babbles on and on. We need handwritten minutes with specific things on the minutes, where we can find everything in the minutes.
We've got a separate mic, and I gave Christy a digital recorder that she's using tonight to record this meeting. This is the kind of setup she's used before. It's something similar to what I've used in other venues. This stuff here is backbreaking. Literally, those speakers weigh about 45 pounds apiece.
So I'll throw this out. It is nice to have the recordings, because we were able to go back and look at council meetings and know what was discussed. This recording takes care of it. I know this was a little overkill, but the quality, I don't know why the quality is not good. Me and Christy went, I know she's watched probably 6 or 8. But I even went back when we first got this, and they're not that good. And I don't know what the problem is, but I really do like the recordings. I think it's very beneficial, but the quality is not.
Can a tape recording be put on?
The audio recording can be placed, can be available. Can be available.
The only thing that I can equate this to, and I helped put the technology in a new jail and sheriff's office back in 2011. We paid over $90,000 to have a video system put in that jail and the cells, and have a central recording place, and also to have a separate recording system for an interrogation room in CID, which cost another 20 grand. And you get what you pay for, okay? This is a portable type system, and the quality is going to be as good as a permanent system.
A lot of the voice audio type stuff is very muffled. I feel that this was a bad choice of microphones. If we had like the little lapel pins, it would make all the difference. But they are quite higher than this. And at this point,
Everything that I've seen now that you're looking at, it's all wireless.
long term on these cords, they will break from just the wrapping and moving back and forth.
If we decide to get rid of them at the school board meeting, they made there was a comment made that they would maybe want to ask the city to borrow them
and try it out.
So if we did want to get rid of them, they might be willing to buy them.
I guess my question, I like the recording, I really do. The video recording, now the sound, I don't think any of us is going to argue the sound is great. The video, can we get sound on just the video and not set up all this stuff?
Yes, we can just stick with the camera and just record it.
And
then all you have to do is sync it.
I can eliminate all the speakers and the mics. I keep the camera, the laptop to record the video stuff, and we have the separate audio. But what I'm trying to say is, when we decide to transition back into public meetings at Old City Hall,
we could try it again, or we could go another route.
we could go ahead and hire a contractor to come in there and give us a bid on a permanent system.
Well, I guess for me, I mean, if you all want, we can make a motion to continue doing the videotape and this recorder.
I think you find that more efficient.
Yeah, and it's gonna save everybody's back, and then the other benefit is, we wouldn't even necessarily have to post the recorded video, we could just put that on the city website.
Yeah.
And we
Or
would,
it could be available upon request and have written minutes posted on the city website.
right, and then we would have these, but we wouldn't necessarily have to worry about uploading them to YouTube and all that. And that would, and then we would just back it up somewhere at City Hall if y'all would be agreeable to that.
To do it on Google Drive.
Google Drive, yeah, that's excellent. And then we would still have the visual if we needed it. But for the most part, we would have that camera and this, and we would just move forward, and that'll fit in your pocket.
My back would love this.
Are you just taking action on no video?
Well, we would,
The video and the digital recording, yes, but all the rest of the stuff goes by
The
the
PA system isn't really.
Because, when we have, comments from other people, we can still have them come up here and they can still talk so it can be heard, correct?
I believe this, that mic is
That'll
gonna pick
pick it
them
up.
up.
So we will keep that mic.
No,
we would use this mic.
We could do
And
a
they'll be able to
podium
hear
type situation, they could come to the front, say their name,
Yeah.
but that 360 will pick it up.
This is an omnidirectional mic.
Right,
It picks up everything.
but they still need to come up here closer so that
Yes.
they can pick it
Yes.
up. Got it.
yeah, we could.
We can loop this and spread it out.
Okay, on item number 6, action item number 11, I move that we eliminate the PA system, we continue with the visual audio, and we use the new system, the recording device to record our city council meeting, eliminating the speakers and all of the extra work.
I second that.
Linda Vrabel seconds. Monica made the first motion. All in favor? All right. All opposed by the same? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, moving on to 12, discuss, consider, and possible approval for city administrator to attend the Texas Municipal League Certification Program Election Law Seminar to being held January 23rd, 24th, 25th of 19 in Frisco, Texas. City Administrator Kevin S. Bradshaw.
So this is recommended every year that the city secretary or city administrator in my case attend the election law seminar for any updates that may have come across within the last year. This serves two purposes for me, selfishly, I'll admit. This will be my graduation from my first recertification as well. So kind of two birds. I'll try to seek out, as I do every year, scholarships and travel stipends from my association. I've received one in 5 years, so it's not a bad record. But it's probably about a $1,300 seminar, including travel. Because it is 3 days.
Travel,
Hotel, tuition. Also, this first seminar will go toward my second recertification. So, a lot of things happening here.
I'll tell you all, I think we need to do this because in the past, we need to keep our employees trained.
Yeah, and for the TRMC, you must recertify every 5 years. or you lose your designation.
So this was only do like every 5 years.
No.
Either.
You need six seminars and a certain number of other training opportunities. I did book reports last year called Athenian Dialogue, in the last 5 years. You get a certain number of points for every dialogue or other training opportunity. It's cheaper to do the Athenian Dialogues than anything else. So I had 3 of those in 6 seminars within 5 years.
Okay, on action item number 6, action item 12, I move that we approve for City Administrator Christy Bradshaw to attend the Texas Municipal Clerk Certification Program and Election Law Seminar in January.
All right. Monica made the motion. Lynn seconded. All in favor? All right. All opposed by the same. Seeing none, motion carries.
Okay, I'd like to also amend number 11, item number 11, that upon request, visual recordings can be seen through Open Records Act, like requesting one, and that at this point, no more visual recordings will be posted to YouTube, and we will have minutes posted directly to our city webpage.
Second.
Lynn seconds. All in favor? All right. All opposed by the same. Seeing none, motion carries. All right. Yeah. Number 13, I have to read all this, sorry folks. Executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, Section 551.072, Section 551.073, Section 551.074, Section 551.076, Section 551.087, and Section 418.0183, the Texas Government Code, Texas Disaster Act concerning the following matters: personnel matters 551.074. Councilman Aaron.
Okay, I move at this time that we go into executive session.
Second.
And the time is 9:55 p.m.
Okay, in the meantime,